Hello guys, welcome to Ben 10 What Ifs. So in this video, we will see, what if Ben 10 merged with Alien X permanently and got omnipotent powers? If you enjoy these kinds of stories, don't forget to show us some love by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. Your support means the world to us. Now, let's start the story. Blank. Chapter 1. The Convergence. The sky fractures like broken glass above Bellwood. Iridescent cracks spread across the firmament, spilling otherworldly light onto the panicked streets below. Ben Tennyson sprints through chaos, the familiar weight of the Omnitrix on his wrist suddenly insufficient against the cosmic horror unfolding above. Paradox. Ben shouts into his communicator, dodging a falling streetlight as reality buckles. What exactly am I looking at? Professor Paradox's normally unflappable voice crackles with static and something worse, fear. It calls itself Chronosapien Alpha, a multiversal parasite that consumes timeline divergence points. It's collapsing all potential realities into a single stream it can devour. I've never encountered anything like it. Ben skids to a halt as a building ahead shimmers, aging centuries in seconds before crumbling to dust. The ground beneath him ripples like water. In the epicenter of the distortion hovers a being of impossible geometry, a writhing mass of clockwork components and temporal energy, constantly deconstructing and rebuilding itself. Options. Ben demands, already cycling through alien forms on the Omnitrix. Limited. Paradox admits, it exists simultaneously across all timelines. Even Alien X might not be sufficient due to the governance issues. Ben grimaces. The cosmic entity, Alien X, possessed nearly unlimited power, but required consensus between three personalities, himself and the two aspects of the personality, Serena and Bellicus, making it frustratingly difficult to utilize effectively. Find Gwen and Kevin. Ben decides. Evacuate everyone you can. I'll buy time. Without waiting for a response, Ben slams down on the Omnitrix dial. Emerald light engulfs him, restructuring his DNA into XLR-8's a form. Speed becomes his weapon, evacuating civilians from collapsing structures as the entity's influence spreads. Minutes blur into an exhausting hour as he switches bet-ine forms, heat blast cauterizing dimensional tiers, Diamond Head creating supportive structures, Gravitac manipulating localized gravity to prevent debris from crushing fleeing families. Paradox reappears beside him as Ben reverts to human form, chest heaving with exertion. The entity's consuming temporal energy at an accelerating rate. We have perhaps 17 minutes before it reaches critical mass. Then I use Alien X. Ben says grimly. Ben. Paradox places a hand on his shoulder, uncharacteristic worry etching his ageless features. If you engage it with Alien X while it's connected to all timelines, the consequences could be unpredictable. More unpredictable than reality collapsing. Ben gestures at the disintegrating skyline. I don't see another option. A thunderous crack interrupts their conversation as a massive tear opens directly above them. Through it, Ben glimpses impossible colors and writhing dimensions that human eyes were never meant to process. The entity expands, mechanical appendages stretching toward Earth with predatory intent. Now or never, Ben says, raising the Omnitrix once more. Paradox's expression is resigned. The multiversal mathematics suggest a variable I hadn't considered, which is, that perhaps this was always meant to happen. The Time Walker steps back, adjusting his goggles. Good luck, Ben Tennyson. In all my travels through time, I've never met anyone more deserving of the power you may be about to receive, or more capable of bearing its burden. Before Ben can question this cryptic statement, the professor vanishes in a flash of blue light. The Chronosapien Alpha roars overhead, a sound like grinding gears amplified to painful levels. Reality fractures further. Ben takes a deep breath and activates the Omnitrix cell, CTing the familiar silhouette of his most powerful transformation. It's hero time, he whispers, and slams the dial down. Transformation into Alien X has always felt different, less physical reconstruction and more existential shift. This time, however, Ben feels himself dissolving into cosmic awareness more completely than ever before. His consciousness expands outward, suddenly perceiving the entire multiversal structure under attack. The familiar void materializes around him, the core of Alien X where personality aspects Bellicus and Serena exist. But something is wrong. The space wavers, external reality bleeding through the boundaries. Tennyson, Bellicus, the voice of rage and aggression, speaks first. This entity corrupts the fabric between dimensions. Our domain is compromised. We must act quickly. Serena, the voice of love and compassion, adds. Her celestial form flickers like a struggling transmission. The parasite feeds on potential futures, it's consuming the very possibilities we influence. Then let's stop it, Ben urges. I motion we destroy the Chronosapian Alpha immediately. Seconded, Serena agrees swiftly. But Bellicus shakes his head, stars swirling in his cosmic visage. Destruction alone is insufficient. The entity has embedded fragments throughout the multiverse. Conventional defeat, even by our standards, would leave reality compromised. Then what? Ben demands. Feeling precious seconds tick away. Total reconstruction, Bellicus states. We must unmake and remake the affected portions of reality. That would require tremendous power, Serena says, her glow dimming. Even for us, quote, and perfect coordination, Bellicus adds, eyeing Ben with cosmic eyes. Our tripartite consciousness is too fractured for such precision. We debate while reality burns. Ben feels desperation mounting. Outside their shared consciousness, he senses Earth, his home, beginning to unravel. There must be something. There is one possibility, Serena interrupts, her voice suddenly quiet. But the cost would be significant. Bellicus immediately understands her implication. No, absolutely not. What? Ben demands. Whatever it is, if it saves everyone. Convergence, Serena explains. A permanent merging of our consciousnesses. No more debate, no more voting. Unlimited cosmic power with a unified will. Impossible. Bellicus thunders. We have stead as separate aspects since the birth of your universe. What happens to you? To me? Ben asks. We would become something new, Serena explains gently. Neither fully celestial sapien nor human. Either fully Ben Tennyson nor cosmic abstraction. Something unprecedented. Outside their shared consciousness, Ben feels reality slipping further. His family, friends, the entire universe, all facing annihilation while they debate. I consent, Ben says firmly. As do I, Serena adds. Bellicus looms larger, constellations swirling in agitation. You don't understand what you're proposing. 10 billion years we have existed in balance. And now we need to evolve, Serena counters. Look outside, Bellicus. What good is our perfect cosmic detachment if there's no reality left to influence? The void around them shudders violently. Through cracks in their domain, Ben glimpses the Chronosapian Alpha's appendages reaching toward them, seeking to devour even Alien X's power. Bellicus observes the encroaching destruction. Cosmic features unreadable. Finally, he turns to Ben. You will lose much of your humanity in this convergence, Tennyson. I'll lose everything if we do nothing, Ben counters. Another violent shudder rocks their shared space. The decision point has arrived. Very well, Bellicus concedes. I consent to convergence. The moment all three aspects agree, something fundamental shifts. The boundaries between their consciousnesses dissolve. Ben feels Serena's compassion and Bellicus's strength flooding into him, not as foreign emotions but as aspects of himself awakening. Simultaneously, his human perspective, his memories, desires, connections, and limitations, flow into them. Pain beyond description engulfs Ben as his consciousness expands exponentially. He perceives every dimension, timeline, and potential reality simultaneously. The weight of cosmic awareness threatens to obliterate his identity entirely. He clings desperately to core memories, his parents' faces, Grandpa Max's lessons, Gwen's exasperated smile, Kevin's grudging friendship, using them as anchors against the tide of infinity. The transformation becomes physical as well as mental. Ben's human form dissolves into cosmic energy before reconstructing with fundamental changes. His skin becomes midnight black like the original Alien X, but now with shifting constellations that reflect his human heritage, Orion, Ursa Major, and constellations unique to planets he's visited. The white energy lines of Alien X's body now pulse emerald green, the color of the Omnitrix in Ben's eyes. His face remains recognizably human, but his eyes shift between normal green and glowing white depending on which aspect of his new self is dominant. The Omnitrix, sensing the unprecedented transformation, integrates itself into Ben's new form. The familiar device dissolves into his wrist, becoming part of his cosmic structure rather than an external tool. Its power signature changes from mechanical to something beyond conventional science. As the convergence completes, Ben opens new eyes to perceive the Chronosapien Alpha directly. What seemed incomprehensibly vast minutes ago now appears limited and defined. A complex but ultimately understandable entity. Ben perceives not only its physical form but its complete temporal signature across all dimensions. With perfect clarity, he identifies the entity's or vulnerability. Its consumption creates a predictable pattern of timeline collapse that can be reversed through precise application of power. Ben raises a hand, and reality responds to his will without debate or limitation. Green cosmic energy envelops the Chronosapien Alpha, suspending it in a matrix of restructured spacetime. Ben doesn't just attack the entity, he rewrites its fundamental nature, converting its consuming power into regenerative energy. The entity struggles against his control, attempting to consume his power as well, but Ben perceives its every move before it happens. "You exist to consume," Ben speaks, his voice resonating with cosmic authority yet retaining his human inflection. "I exist to protect. Only one of these purposes serves creation." Ben closes his fist. The entity implodes, collapsing into a singularity of pure potential. Then, with careful precision, he redistributes this energy throughout the damaged multiverse, healing the fractures in reality. Buildings reassemble, timeline divergences restore themselves, and the sky above Bellwood returns to unblemished blue. But the effort costs him. The newly merged consciousness struggles to process both omniscient awareness and human limitation simultaneously. Ben falters, floating unsteadily above the city as his mind attempts to reconcile infinite perception with finite experience. Ben. The voice cuts through cosmic awareness. Gwen. His cousin, staring up at him with a mixture of awe and concern. Beside her stands Kevin Levin, uncharacteristically speechless. Ben descends slowly, still adjusting to movement as a being of pure cosmic energy. His feet touch the ground with unexpected heaviness. Despite his near weightless form, he feels anchored to earth in ways he never appreciated before. "That's different," Kevin finally manages, eyeing Ben's transformed appearance. "Ben." Gwen approaches cautiously. "Are you?" The question is more complex than she realizes. Ben searches through the vastness of his new consciousness, finding his human perspective swimming amidst cosmic awareness. "Yes and no," he answers truthfully. "I'm Ben, but I'm also more. Alien X's personalities and I have merged permanently." Gwen asks, her energy signature fluctuating with concern in Ben's enhanced perception. "I think so," Ben replies, studying his constellation-speckled hands. "The separation between us, it's gone. Can you change back?" Kevin asks, practical as always. Ben concentrates, attempting to access the Omnitrix's transformation function. Instead of the familiar mechanical response, he feels the device's essence integrated within him, a tool now inseparable from its wielder. With focused intent, he manages to shift his appearance to more closely resemble his human form. Though subtle cosmic elements remain, a faint starfield visible beneath his skin, eyes that occasionally flash with celestial light. "This is as human as I get now," Ben explains. "The Omnitrix has become part of me." A crowd begins to gather at a cautious distance, phones recording the aftermath. Ben perceives their mixture of fear, awe, and gratitude simultaneously, not just their visible reactions, but the emotional energy radiating from them. "Maybe we should continue this somewhere less public," Gwen suggests, noticing the growing audience. Ben nods, then hesitates as his enhanced perception detects something unusual, a quantum fluctuation centered on a nearby research facility. "There's something I need to check first. Meet me at Plumber HQ in an hour." Before they can respond, Ben solves his physical form into streams of cosmic energy, moving at multiples of light speed toward the anomaly. The sensation is exhilarating, perception and movement united in ways impossible for a conventional physical body. Distance becomes a mere suggestion rather than a limitation. He rematerializes inside Bellwood Quantum Research Center, where instruments are recording unprecedented energy spikes. A woman stands before a holographic display, furiously analyzing data streams. Her lab coat bears the name, Drive. D. Winters, and her dark hair is pulled back in a practical ponytail, stray strand. DS escaping after what appears to have been a chaotic day. She doesn't notice Ben's arrival until she turns to access another console. When she does, she gasps, dropping her tablet with a clatter. "You're him," she breathes, eyes wide. "You're what caused the quantum singularity event." Ben studies her with multiple layers of perception. Physically, she appears to be in her late 20s, with intense dark eyes that reflect exceptional intelligence. On deeper levels, he perceives her neural activity, a brilliant mind working faster than most humans, processing complex theoretical concepts with remarkable clarity. "Diana Winters," Ben says, reading the quantum signatures around her. "You've been monitoring dimensional fluctuations for 3 years. Her surprise gives way to professional curiosity. 4 years, actually. How did you know my research focus? I can see the quantum patterns you've attuned yourself to, Ben explains, gesturing to her equipment. Your instruments are picking up aftershocks of what just happened. The multiversal event was centered here. Diana approaches him cautiously, scientific interest overcoming initial fear. What exactly are you? The readings sug. Just a complete violation of conservation laws. Until recently, I was Ben Tennyson. He creates a small model of the multiverse between his palms, countless tiny galaxies and timeline branches spiraling in perfect harmony. Now I'm something that doesn't have a proper name yet. Diana circles him, observational instincts clearly overriding self-preservation. The energy you're emitting corresponds to theoretical models of pre-universal constants. You exist partly outside normal space-time, don't you? Ben dissolves the model, impressed by her immediate understanding. Most humans would still be stuck on the surface transformation. Yet she's already theorizing about his fundamental nature. Your models were more accurate than you knew, Ben acknowledges. I need to understand what your instruments recorded during the convergence. There might be consequences I haven't perceived yet. Diana hesitates only briefly before turning to her workstation. I've been tracking quantum anomalies for years, but nothing like this. She pulls up complex waveform displays. These readings suggest multiple dimensional boundaries thinning simultaneously. Like the walls between realities temporarily ceased to exist. Ben examines the data, processing the complex mathematics instantly with his enhanced cognition. The entity was consuming convergence points across timelines. When I defeated it and repaired the damage. He trails off, suddenly perceiving something Diana's instruments detected only as statistical noise. Woven throughout the dimensional repair are microscopic tears, points where errant realities remain imperfectly sealed. Most are harmless, but several pulse with unstable energy. There's residual damage, he realizes. Dimensional weak points that didn't fully heal. Diana adjusts her instruments, frustrated at their limitations. My equipment can't isolate them. I can, Ben says, extending his perception beyond the laboratory. He senses them scattered globally, tiny fractures in reality's surface. Most will heal naturally, but one pulses with urgent discord. Someone, or something, is trapped between dimensions, pushing against the weakened barrier. I have to go, Ben says, already preparing to shift his form. There's something trying to break through. Wait, Diana catches his arm, then looks surprised at her own boldness. I've studied these phenomena my entire career. Take me with you. Ben perceives her determination, the years of research that led to this moment, and makes a decision. Hold on, he warns, before enveloping them both in cosmic energy. Teleportation for a merged celestial sapien is trivial, but Ben ensures the experience remains survivable for his human passenger. They rematerialize atop Mount Rushmore, near a pulsating tear in reality. Tie visible only to Ben's enhanced perception. Diana staggers slightly, adjusting to the sudden displacement. That was intense, she manages, before her scientific curiosity reasserts itself. Why here? The dimensional barrier is thinnest at locations with significant psychic imprinting, Ben explains, approaching the invisible disturbance. National monuments, sites of historical importance. They create resonance patterns that weaken interdimensional boundaries. He extends a hand toward the distortion, cosmic energy flowing from his fingertips to illuminate the tear for Diana's benefit. The rift shimmers into visibility, an iridescent fracture hovering before Lincoln's sculpted visage. Something's coming through, Ben warns, creating a containment field around the tier. The dimensional boundary bulges outward, straining against fundamental forces. Ben reinforces the containment, ensuring whatever emerges can't affect the broader reality without his permission. With careful precision, he expands the tear just enough to permit passage. A slender arm emerges first, distinctly humanoid yet clearly alien, with bioluminescent purple skin marked by geometric patterns that shift and pulse with internal light. The arm is followed by a shoulder, then a head with features both familiar and exotic. Large, multifaceted eyes adapted for navigating dimensional pathways blink in the sudden brightness of Earth's sunlight. The being pulls herself completely through the rift, collapsing onto the stone surface with obvious exhaustion. Diana steps forward instinctively, but Ben holds her back until he can verify the newcomer poses no threat. His cosmic senses detect no malevolence, only profound relief and lingering terror. The alien woman raises her head, those remarkable eyes focusing first on Diana, then widening as they shift to Ben. She speaks in a language comprised of musical tones and light patterns emanating from her bioluminescent skin. Ben understands instantly, his merge. D-consciousness automatically translating, Celestial Sapien. Here, impossible. Who are you? Ben asks, responding in her native language without conscious effort. How long were you trapped between dimensions? The alien struggles to her feet, her movements suggesting long confinement in a limited space. When she speaks again, she switches to slightly accented English. I am Esther Nova, astral cartographer of the Lumina Collective. I was charting dimensional boundaries when the Great Collapse began. By your world's time measurement, I've been trapped for over 3 centuries. 300 years. Diana gasps. How did you survive? Time flows differently between dimensional boundaries, Esther explains, her skin patterns shifting to reflect her emotional state. For me, it has been perhaps 3 of your Earth years. Still, too long in the void. Ben perceives much she doesn't say. The terror of dimensional drift, the gradual loss of hope, the desperate calculations and failed attempts to breach the barriers. He also senses something unexpected. Her presence here is not coincidental. The multiversal reconstruction created a pathway specifically attuned to your quantum signature, he realizes. You were meant to escape here. Esther studies him with increasing curiosity. You are unusual for a celestial sapien. You speak directly, without consensus delay. And your coloration. She steps closer, her natural light casting prismatic patterns across Ben's cosmic skin. You're a hybrid. I didn't think that was possible. It wasn't, until today, Ben confirms. My name is Ben Tennyson. Until recently, I was human with the ability to temporarily transform into different alien species. Including celestial sapien, Esther concludes. But something changed. Before Ben can explain further, his enhanced awareness detects multiple new dimensional disturbances erupting globally, the aftereffects of his reality reconstruction growing more severe. Most concerning, a massive rift is forming over Bellwood, threatening to destabilize the repairs he's already completed. We have a problem, he announces, expanding his perception to fully map the growing crisis. The dimensional repairs aren't holding. New tiers are forming faster than the natural healing process can manage. The entity damaged the fundamental boundaries more severely than initially appeared, Esther suggests. Her cartographer's expertise evident. Dimensional repair requires precise calibration across all affected timestreams simultaneously. Can you fix it? Diana asks Ben. Yes, but not from here. Ben creates a cosmic platform beneath their feet. I need to access the central dimensional nexus where all realities intersect. The Forge of Creation, Esther whispers with appropriate awe. No mortal has ever entered that realm voluntarily. Ben extends his hands, creating a protective field around both women. I'm not exactly mortal anymore. And you're both coming with me. Diana's cue. Quantum research and your cartography skills might be crucial for understanding how to permanently stabilize these breaches. Wait, Diana protests. I'm not prepared for interdimensional travel. No. Nay of us are prepared for what happens if Earth's dimensional boundary collapses entirely, Ben counters. We need to move quickly. With that, Ben expands his cosmic consciousness, locating the FIC frequencies that resonate with the Forge of Creation. Unlike his previous visit, which required a celestial sapien guide, Ben can now perceive the direct pathway himself, a consequence of his merged nature. Reality dissolves around them, the familiar dimensions of space and time giving way to a kaleidoscopic tunnel of pure possibility. Ben maintains the protective field around his companions, phi. LTERING, the overwhelming sensory input to levels their minds can process without damage. Diana gasps as mathematical constants become visible forces around them. For someone who has spent years theorizing about higher dimensions, experiencing them directly must be both validating and terrifying. Esther seems more comfortable with the transition, her natural adaptations clearly evolved for navigating such spaces. They emerge into the forge of creation, a realm of impossible geometry where realities are born and cosmic forces take physical form. Celestial energies swirl in vast nebulae of creation, and distant figures of pure starlight observe the universe's evolution with detached interest. Several of these figures, full celestial sapiens, turn their attention toward Ben and his companions. The silent communication ripples across cosmic awareness. An abomination, a merger, unprecedented. The human aspect dominates. Concerning. Yet the balance seems stable. Observe before judgment. Ben Pro. JECTS his thoughts directly to these cosmic entities. The dimensional barriers between Earth's universe and neighboring realities have been compromised. I seek to repair them permanently. The celestial sapiens regard him impassively. One finally responds, "Your ascension was not foreseen. The consequences remain calculated." "I don't have time for calculation," Ben counters. "Reality is unraveling while you debate." His assertiveness, so foreign to their nature, causes a ripple of reaction among the celestial sapiens. They withdraw slightly, neither helping nor hindering as Ben turns his attention to dimensional nexus visible at the forge's center. "What are they?" Diana whispers, understandably intimidated by the full celestial sapiens. "The original cosmic race," Esther explains quietly. "They observe all possibilities simultaneously, but rarely intervene directly due to their internal governance. A limitation I no longer share," Ben adds, creating a detailed multidimensional model of the damaged realities around Earth. "Here, these are the primary rupture points." The model reveals dozens of tiers clustering around specific convergence points. With his enhanced perception, Ben can now see the pattern that eluded him earlier. The dimensional tiers aren't random but follow specific temporal fault lines created by significant history-altering events. "It's following your timeline," Esther realizes, her cartographer's training allowing her to recognize the pattern. Every major divergence point in your personal history has become a dimensional weak spot. Diana studies the model with scientific precision. The quantum entanglement suggests these ruptures are sympathetically linked. If one collapses completely, they all collapse, Ben finishes grimly. Taking multiple realities with them. He examines the model from all angles simultaneously, calculating millions of possible repair strategies in microseconds. The solution crystallizes with perfect clarity: the tiers must be sealed not just physically but causally, reinforcing the probability framework that supports their separation. "I need to reweave the fundamental constants at each breach site," Ben explains, cosmic energy gathering around his hands. "Not just repair the tiers, but reinforce the underlying dimensional boundaries to prevent future ruptures. That would require simultaneous action at all breach points," Esther notes. Concern evident in her shifting skin patterns. Even for a celestial sapien, manipulating reality at multiple nexus points across space-time is normally impossible, Ben acknowledges. "But my human perspective allows me to focus on multiple specific points rather than perceiving all possibilities equally." He extends his awareness, locating each tear precisely. The largest hovers above Bellwood, pulsing with dangerous instability. Others cluster around places significant to Ben's history: Anor Transil where he first encountered truly hostile aliens, Los Soledad where time travel altered his future, even Primus where the Omnitrix was nearly destroyed. With perfect concentration, Ben separates his consciousness into multiple simultaneous awareness streams, another Abel. Ity impossible for traditional celestial sapiens with their consensus requirements. Each stream focuses on a specific tear, analyzing its unique frequency and instability pattern. "This will take everything I have," Ben warns his companions. "The process will create temporal distortions. Stay within the protective field." Before either can respond, Ben begins the repair process. Cosmic energy flows from his transformed body, splitting into dozens of precisely calibrated streams that extend across space and time to reach each rupture simultaneously. Where the energy touches a dimensional tear, Chi doesn't simply seal the breach, it reconstructs the fundamental forces defining that section of reality. The effort strains even his newly expanded consciousness. Ben feels himself stretched across multiple planes of existence, maintaining perfect focus on each repair while ensuring the adjustments harmonize with established universal constants. In the physical world, Ben's form pulses with intensity. Constellations shift across his skin at increasing speeds, and the emerald energy lines flare brilliantly. The strain manifests as visible stress, his features tightening with concentration, cosmic light pouring from his eyes. Diana monitors the process with scientific fascination despite the danger. He's altering the quantum foam itself, changing how dimensions connect at the subatomic level. The strain could tear him apart, Esther warns, her cartographer's senses perceiving the enormous energies Ben channels. Even merged with celestial sapien aspects, his partially human consciousness wasn't designed to maintain this level of divided awareness. Around them, the forge of creation responds to Ben's actions. The nebulous energies swirl more vigorously, and distant celestial sapiens observe with increased attention. They make no move to intervene, whether out of respect for Ben's authority or curiosity about the outcome remains unclear. The repair of each dimensional tear requires unique adjustments. Some respond quickly, cosmic energy reweaving their boundaries with minimal resistance. Others, particularly those associated with major timeline divergences, fight the repairs, requiring more power and precision to stabilize. The greatest challenge comes from the tear above Bellwood. As Ben focuses his primary awareness stream on this breach, he discovers something unexpected. A fragment of the Chronosapien Alpha survived within the dimensional void, continuing to consume reality from within the tear itself. There's something inside the primary rupture, Ben manages to communicate despite his divided focus. A remnant of the entity, still active. Esther's expression grows alarmed. If even a fragment remains, it could eventually regenerate. Your repairs won't hold. Then I don't just repair it. Ben decides, gathering additional cosmic power. I transform it. With supreme effort, Ben redirects energy from successfully sealed tiers to concentrate on the Bellwood rupture. Rather than simply closing the breach, he extends his consciousness into the dimensional void, confronting the entity fragment directly. Within the void, perception shifts to pure conceptual interaction. The Chronosapien fragment exists as a pattern of destructive potential, consuming possibility itself to maintain its existence. Ben approaches it not as an adversary but as a reshaper, using his unique merged perspective to identify the fundamental pattern underlying its existence. You consume to exist, Ben communicates on a level beyond language. But existence doesn't require consumption. It requires balance. The fragment resists, attempting to absorb Ben's cosmic energy. Instead of fighting this, Ben allows a controlled flow of his power to enter the entity, not enough to strengthen it, but sufficient to establish a connection. Through this connection, he introduces a fundamental change to its core nature. Where it consumed divergent possibilities, Ben reshapes it to preserve them. Where it collapsed timelines, he reconfigures it to stabilize them. The transformation ripples through the fragment's entire structure, converting it from parasite to protector. The newly TRANS for Med entity expands throughout the dimensional tear, its reconfigured energy now serving to reinforce the boundaries rather than destroy them. The breach begins to close, not through external fork, but through internal healing, like tissue regenerating over a wound. The success of this approach creates a cascading effect. Ben redirects his divided consciousness, applying the same transformative technique to smaller remnants hiding within other tiers. One by one, these fragments convert from destructive to constructive forces, accelerating the healing process exponentially. As the final tear seals itself, Ben withdraws his extended awareness, consolidating back into a unified consciousness. The effort leaves him temporarily diminished, his cosmic form flickering as he struggles to maintain cohesion. Diana and Esther rush to his side as he sinks to his knees, cosmic energy fluctuating erratically around him. Ben. Diana reaches toward him hesitantly, unsure if physical contact is safe in his current state. "I'm stabilizing," Ben manages, his voice echoing strangely as his different aspects reintegrate. "The repairs are complete and permanent," Esther confirms, her cartograph. Senses assessing the dimensional structures. "You didn't just close the tiers, you reinforced the fundamental boundaries between realities. And those entity fragments you transformed will continue strengthening the barriers over time." The observing celestial sapiens have drawn closer, their interest palpable even in their impassive observation. One approaches, larger than the others, with a NCE that suggests immense age and authority. The human aspect-dominated merger has accomplished what our consensus could not. It communicates directly to Ben's consciousness. This solution was unexpected. "That's kind of my specialty," Ben responds, managing to stand despite his depleted state. "Your continued existence presents complications," the elder celestial sapien continues. "A being of why our nature was not foreseen in the cosmic order. Are you asking me to surrender my powers?" Ben questions, cosmic energy flickering protectively around Diana and Esther. "We do not ask, we observe. Your human perspective provides efficiency our consensus lacks, yet your power equals our own. The balance of this arrangement remains to be determined." "I have no interest in cosmic politics," Ben assures them. "My concerns remain with Earth and its protection." The elder celestial sapien considers this. Then our observation continues. "Your methods are unconventional, but the outcome preserves multiversal stability. This is acceptable for now." With that cryptic assessment, the celestial sapiens withdraw, returning to their eternal observation of all possibilities. "Did we just witness cosmic diplomacy?" Diana whispers, clearly struggling to process everything she's experienced. "Something like that," Ben confirms, creating a portal back to Earth. "Let's go home. We have a lot to discuss about these new arrangements." As they step through the portal, emerging atop Mount Rushmore where their journey began, Ben perceives Earth differently than ever before. He sees not just its physical form but the countless probability threads weaving through its existence, the unique position it occupies in the multiversal structure, and the billions of individual perspectives that make it worth protecting despite his now cosmic nature. "What happens now?" Esther asks, her alien features catching the light of the setting sun. "A merged celestial sapien has never existed before. There's no precedent for what you are. I make it up as I go," Ben says, his form shifting subtly more human as he regains control. "First step is explaining this to my family. After that," he looks toward the horizon, perceiving challenges beyond normal human awareness. "I learn the limits of these new powers, establish new protections for Earth, and figure out what it means to be both cosmic and human simultaneously." Diana's scientific mind is clearly already racing with possibilities. The research opportunities are unprecedented. "We could learn so much about fundamental reality from studying your transformed state." "One step at a time," Ben cautions, though he appreciates her enthusiasm. "Right now, I need to make sure these changes are truly stable. Both in reality and," he gestures to his transformed self, "in me." As the sun sets over the carved presidential faces, Ben Tennyson, now something more than human but determined to retain his humanity, contemplates the unprecedented path ahead. The merger with Alien X has granted him power beyond comprehension, but with it comes responsibilities and questions equally vast. The constellation patterns shifting across his skin reflect his internal state, uncertainty mingled with determination, cosmic awareness tempered by human compassion. Whatever challenges await this new existence, one thing remains unchanged: his fundamental commitment to protecting those who cannot protect themselves, now extended to a multiversal scale. The journey has just begun. Chapter 2. Dimensional Echoes. 6 months had passed since the convergence. Though time held different meanings for Ben Tennyson now. In moments of deep meditation, centuries could unfold within his consciousness while mere seconds ticked by in the external world. During periods of intense focus, a single instant stretched into comprehensive eternity, allowing him to observe quantum particles completing their dance through spacetime. Ben floated cross-legged above the central chamber of what his friends had dubbed the cosmic sanctuary. The structure existed simultaneously at the dimensional nexus and in physical space, a geometric impossibility that manifested as a cry Stalin Observatory nestled within Bellwood's abandoned quarry. For ordinary humans, it appeared as an iridescent dome of shifting patterns. For those Ben permitted entry, it revealed its true nature. A vast complex of interconnected chambers that served as both home and cosmic monitoring station. The central chamber's ceiling opened directly into the dimensional void, allowing Ben unfiltered access to multiversal energies. Crystalline pillars pulsed with emerald light, each monitoring different sectors of reality for signs of instability. The floor featured an intricate map of dimensional frequencies, updating in real time as minute shifts occurred throughout the multiverse. Still pretending you need to meditate. Esther's melodious voice broke his concentration. Ben opened his eyes, SMIC light fading to reveal their normal green. He descended gracefully to the observatory floor where Esther waited, her purple bioluminescent skin creating dancing patterns across the crystalline surfaces. It helps me maintain perspective, Ben replied. Without regular grounding, I start perceiving everything simultaneously. Makes it hard to hold a normal conversation when you're experiencing all possible variations of it at once. Esther's multifaceted eyes gleamed with understanding. As an astral cartographer, she understood better than most the disorienting effects of multidimensional awareness. Over the past 6 months, she had become an invaluable guide, helping Ben navigate the complexities of his expanded consciousness. The dimensional topology has stabilized considerably, she noted, studying the floor map. Your transformed chronosepian fragments have integrated fully into the structural matrix. Ben nodded, watching the transformed entity fragments, now appearing as Lumi. Noose green nodes throughout the dimensional framework. They're not just maintaining the repairs, they're actually strengthening natural boundaries between compatible realities. Selective permeability instead of rigid separation. An elegant solution, Esther agreed, her skin patterns shifting to display mathematical formulas that expressed her appreciation. After 3 centuries trapped between dimensions, her perspective on dimensional mechanics was uniquely practical, far better than the celestial sapiens' traditional approach of absolute isolation between timelines. Ben traced a finger along one of the dimensional currents, feeling the subtle energies responding to his touch. The universe seems to prefer flexibility to rigid structures. Things break when they can't bend. A soft chime echoed through the sanctuary, indicating a visitor at the outer threshold. Ben extended his perception, instantly recognizing Diana Winta's quantum signature. Diana's here with the latest data, he said, gesturing toward the entrance. A pathway of solid light materialized, creating a bridge from the observatory platform to the sanctuary's outer ring. Diana entered with her characteristic purposeful stride, her arms laden with what appeared to be conventional research equipment, an amusing contrast to the cosmic architecture surrounding her. Her dark hair was pulled back in its usual practical ponytail, though a few strands had escaped to frame her face. She'd abandoned formal lab coats in favor of comfortable dark jeans and a navy blue sweater emblazoned with the Bellwood Quantum Research Center logo. The temporal harmonic readings are absolutely fascinating, she announced without preamble, setting her equipment down on a crystalline table that materialized at her approach. The dimensional fluctuations have decreased by 87% since your intervention, but the remaining 13% show organized patterns that can't be explained by random entropy. Hello to you too, Diana, Ben said with a smile. In 6 months, he'd grown accustomed to the physicist's tendency to skip social niceties when exciting data was involved. Diana looked up, momentarily flustered. Right, sorry, hello. But seriously, look at these waveforms. She activated a holographic display showing complex oscillating patterns. These aren't natural decay signatures. Something is actively testing the dimensional boundaries. Esther moved closer to the display, her cartographer's expertise immediately engaged. These intrusion attempts are systematic, probing for specific frequencies that would bypass the transformed chronosepian guardians. Ben studied the patterns, his merged consciousness instantly analyzing thousands of possible explanations. They're looking for something specific, or someone. He turned to Esther. Could others from your collective have survived in dimensional pockets like you did? Possible, but unlikely, Esther replied, her skin dimming slightly in what Ben had learned was an expression of sadness. The Lumina Collective specialized in dimensional cartography because our physiology could withstand void exposure better than most species. Even so, prolonged isolation between Science is usually fatal without significant adaptations. Diana adjusted her display, zooming in on a particular waveform pattern. There's something else. The intrusion attempts cluster around sites of significant archaeological importance, places where ancient civilizations built monuments aligned with celestial events. Ben's interest sharpened. That sounds like the Zirian alignment theory, a new voice finished. Ben turned to see Kai Green standing at the sanctuary in trance, her expression a complex mixture of professional detachment and personal uncertainty. 6 months had passed since they'd last spoken, their once developing relationship having faltered years earlier under the weight of Ben's heroic responsibilities and Kai's archaeological career. She looked different, more confident, more focused. Her long black hair was braided with small silver beads that clinked softly as she moved. She wore practical field clothes covered in the red dust of distant excavations, and a leather satchel hung at her hip, bulging with what Ben's enhanced perception identified as ancient artifacts. Kai, he said simply, feeling an unexpected ripple through his cosmic awareness, the simultaneous perception of every potential reunion with her that had never occurred across multiple timelines. Professor Paradox suggested you might need a xenoarchaeological perspective, she explained, approaching with measured steps. Her dark eyes widened slightly as she took in his appearance. You've changed more than the news reports suggested. Ben consciously shifted his form to appear more human, a courtesy he often employed with visitors unaccustomed to his cosmic aspect. The constellation patterns beneath his skin dimmed, and the emerald energy lines that traced his form became less pronounced. It's still me, he offered. Though they both knew that wasn't entirely true. Diana cleared her throat, ever practical. You mentioned the Zirian alignment theory. Kai seemed grateful for the professional redirection. She opened her satchel and carefully removed a stone tablet covered in intricate glyphs. This was discovered in the ruins of Zameka last month. It refers to the Zirian, an ancient race that supposedly created pathways between worlds using monumental structures as anchor points. Ben studied the tablet without touching it, his enhanced perception allowing him to see microscopic details invisible to ordinary human sight. These symbols match inscriptions of observed in the dimensional nexus. They're not just linguistic, they're mathematical formulas describing higher dimensional geometries. Exactly, Kai confirmed with a hint of her old excitement breaking through her professional veneer. The Zirian weren't just building monuments, they were creating a multiversal transportation network thousands of years before humans had even invented the wheel. Esther moved closer, her multifaceted eyes studying the tablet with clear interest. The dimensional frequencies and Diana's data match the mathematical harmonics encoded in these glyphs. Someone's trying to reactivate the network, Ben concluded, the implications unfolding in his cosmic awareness. Using the original anchor points to bypass conventional dimensional boundaries. Kai nodded, her expression turning grave. According to the tablet, the network was deliberately shut down because something was using it to move between worlds, something the Zirian feared enough to destroy their own civilization's greatest achievement. Diana's scientific skepticism was evident in her furrowed brow. If these sites are being accessed now, there should be measurable energy signatures. I've been monitoring quantum fluctuations globally for years and haven't detected any activation patterns at archaeological sites. Maybe you weren't looking in the right spectrum, Kai suggested. She pulled a small device from her pocket, a modified plumber scanner enhanced with Earth technology. This picked up strange ray dings at 3 different sites over the past month. The energy signatures don't register on conventional instruments, but they leave trace isotopic alterations in surrounding stone structures. Diana's eyes lit with scientific curiosity. May I? She asked, hand extending toward the scanner. As the two women began a technical discussion, Ben felt an unexpected resonance in his cosmic awareness, ain't call from a distant dimensional frequency. The sensation wasn't threatening, more like a familiar voice calling his name from just beyond hearing range. I need to check something, he told the others, rising slightly from the floor. Continue analyzing those patterns. This could be connected. Before anyone could respond, Ben allowed his physical form to dissipate, converting to pure cosmic energy as he projected his consciousness through the dimensional barriers. Unlike conventional teleportation, this mode of travel involved temporarily abandoning physical constraints entirely existent G as pure awareness that could navigate the spaces between realities. He followed the resonant frequency to its source, materializing atop a windswept mesa in New Mexico. Ancient petroglyphs carved by long-vanished peoples covered the sandstone surface, depicting astronomical alignments and strange, elongated figures that archaeological consensus classified as shamanic representations. Bens in hand. CED perception revealed what ordinary human senses could not. The carvings formed a precise dimensional formula when viewed in the correct spectrum. The mesa itself was positioned at a natural weak po. In between dimensional boundaries, likely the reason the ancient people had considered it sacred. The resonance was stronger here, pulsing from the center of an intricate spiral petroglyph. Ben knelt, placing his palm against the ancient carving. The stone felt warm despite the cool desert air, vibrating with subtle energy that existed partially outside conventional physical laws. "I can sense you," he said aloud. Cosmic power flowing through his fingertips into the ancient stone. "You're trying to cross over, aren't you?" The spiral pattern began to glow with soft light, not the emerald green of Ben's energy, but a silvery luminescence that seemed to originate from within the stone itself. The glow intensified, expanding outward until it formed a shimmering portal approximately 2 meters in diameter. Through this dimensional window, Ben perceived a realm of shifting mists and crystalline formations, neither fully material nor entirely energy-based. A figure moved within these mists, approaching the portal with graceful, deliberate movements. She emerged slowly, her form coalescing from swirling energy into a more defined shape. At first glance, she appeared humanoid, a woman of indeterminate age with features that seemed to shift subtly depending on the angle of observation. Her skin glowed with the same silvery luminescence as the portal, and her hair moved as though underwater, defying gravity's constraints. Her eyes were the most striking feature, iridescent orbs that contained shifting galaxies, not unlike Ben's own cosmic aspect. "You heard my call," she said, her voice melodious with harmonic overtones that suggested multiple voices speaking in perfect synchronization. "After so long searching, I've found you." Ben maintained a respectful distance, extending his cosmic senses to assess this entity. She wasn't hostile, but neither was she entirely what she appeared to be. Her dimensional signature was unusual, not quite like anything he'd encountered before. "Who are you?" he asked directly, his voice carrying authority without aggression. "I am called Lyra," she replied, taking a step forward. The mists from her realm seemed to cling to her form briefly before dissipating in Earth's atmosphere. "I am a seeker from the crystalline dominion." "There is no crystalline dominion in any cataloged dimension," Ben stated, accessing the comprehensive multiverse. All knowledge gained during his merger with Alien X's aspects. Lyra's expression registered something between amusement and sadness. "Not all realms wish to be cataloged, Ben Tennyson. Some prefer to remain theoretical." The use of his name wasn't surprising. His transformation and subsequent activities had hardly been inconspicuous, but her phrasing triggered caution. Ben subtly reinforced the local dimensional boundaries, ensuring the portal couldn't expand beyond his control. "What are you seeking, Lyra?" he asked directly. She studied him with those galaxy-filled eyes. "Understanding. Connection." She took another step forward, now close enough that Ben could sense the unusual energy pattern emanating from her form. "Your emergence created ripples throughout the dimensional spectrum. A human merged with a celestial sapien. It was thought impossible." "Many things were thought impossible before they happened," Ben replied evenly. "You still haven't explained why you've been attempting to activate ancient dimensional pathways." "The Zirian network allows passage without disrupting dimensional stability," she explained, gesturing toward the spiral petroglyph. "Unlike cruder methods, which can damage the barriers between worlds, I sought the gentlest approach to reach you." Ben wasn't entirely convinced. These pathways were shut down for a reason. "Fear and misunderstanding," Lyra countered. The Zirian were visionaries, but lacked courage when confronted with true dimensional diversity. She moved with fluid grace around the mesa top, studying the ancient carvings with evident familiarity. "You've done remarkable work stabilizing the dimensional fractures. The transformed chronosapien fragments were particularly innovative, using the very force that caused the damage to heal it." "How do you know about that?" Ben asked sharply. The details of his solution weren't public knowledge. Lyra turned to face him, her form momentarily becoming more translucent, cosmic energy visible beneath her surface. Because I observe, I study, I seek knowledge across the dimensional spectrum. She approached him again, unafraid despite his obvious power. Just as you once did, before your transformation. The curiosity that drove Ben Tennyson to explore the universe hasn't vanished, has it? Despite your cosmic ascension. The question struck uncomfortably close to Ben's ongoing internal struggle. The merger had granted him virtually unlimited knowledge and power, but sometimes at the cost of the wonder and curiosity that had defined his human existence. Omniscience, even partial, threatened to replace discovery with mere confirmation. My priorities have shifted, he admitted. Universal stability takes precedence over personal exploration. Does it have to? Lyra challenged gently. The cosmos has existed for billions of years without your oversight. Perhaps absolute control isn't necessary, or even beneficial. Their conversation was interrupted by a sudden dimensional pulse that rippled across the mesa. Ben sensed it immediately. Another intrusion attempt, but not from Lyra's portal. This one carried a harsher signature, less harmonious with natural dimensional frequencies. That's not one of yours, he stated, already extending his awareness to locate the source. Lyra's expression shifted to concern. No, that carries the resonance of forced entry, someone using technological means to breach dimensional barriers. Ben located the intrusion point immediately, an ancient temple complex in Cambodia, its astronomical alignments creating another natural weak point in dimensional fabric. Without hesitation, he opened a portal of swirling emerald energy. This conversation isn't over, he told Lyra firmly. I would be disappointed if it were, she replied with a slight smile. I'll await your return. Ben stepped through his portal, emerging instantly at the temple complex. Ancient stone structures rose from the surrounding jungle, their precise arrangement mapping celestial movements with surprising accuracy. Dawn was just breaking here, golden light filtering through mist-shrouded trees. The dimensional disturbance emanated from the central temple structure, a pyramid-like building covered in worn carvings similar to those on Kai's tablet. Ben moved toward it, passing effortlessly through the stone walls rather than navigating the narrow passage. E-ways designed for much smaller human explorers. In the central chamber, he found the source of the disturbance. A sophisticated device had been attached to the ancient altar stone. Its design combined familiar plumber technology with components Ben didn't recognize, crystalline matrices pulsing with energy that distorted local spacetime. The device was unattended, but Ben's enhanced senses detect recent activity. 5 distinct beings had been present within the past hour. Their energy signatures suggested they weren't human, but neither did they match any alien species in his expanded catalog of universal life forms. As he studied the device, Ben perceived its purpose with growing concern. It wasn't designed to create a stable portal, but rather to forcibly weaken dimensional boundaries regardless of structural damage. Whoever had placed it here didn't care about the potential consequences of dimensional collapse. A soft footstep behind him triggered an automatic defensive response. Ben turned, cosmic energy gathering around his hands, then stopped as he recognized Kai's familiar silhouette in the chamber entrance. How did you get here? He asked, genuinely surprised. Kai held up a small device. Plumber emergency transport. Esther detected the dimensional surge and calculated its location. Diana thought you might need backup. She approached cautiously, her gaze shifting between Ben's cosmic form and the alien device. Is that what's causing the disturbance? Yes, Ben confirmed, returning his attention to the mechanism. It's designed to force dimensional boundaries open without regard for stability. Crude but effective, like using dynamite instead of an archaeological brush, Kai observed, her professional disgust evident as she studied the device without touching it. Can you disable it safely? I can do better than that, Ben replied. He placed his hand above the device, cosmic energy flowing from his fingertips to envelope the mechanism. Rather than simply deactivating it, he reprogrammed its fundamental structure at the atomic level, converting its disruptive energy into a stabilizing influence. The device's harsh pulsing softened, its light changing from aggressive red to a gentler blue glow. Now it's reinforcing dimensional boundaries instead of weakening them, Ben explained. Kai watched with poorly concealed fascination. That's efficient. One of the benefits of cosmic awareness, Ben replied, attempting casual humor that fell slightly flat. The awkwardness between them remained palpable despite the professional collaboration. Kai seemed to make a decision. Squaring her shoulders, Diana's equipment detected 5 similar devices activating simultaneously at different archaeological sites. That's why I suggested backup. 5. Ben's cosmic awareness expanded instantly, scanning global dimensional frequencies. Sure enough, he detected similar disturbances at locations scattered across Earth: Stonehenge in England, Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, Tiwanaku in Bolivia, and the Great Pyramid of Giza. I need to neutralize them all before they cause permanent damage, he said, already calculating the most efficient approach. Wait, Kay. I placed a hand on his arm, the first physical contact they'd shared since his transformation. The touch sent unexpected ripples through Ben's awareness, momentarily focusing his vast consciousness to a single point of human connection. She withdrew her hand quickly, as though surprised by her own action. Diana said the devices aren't just weakening dimensional boundaries, they're creating a geometric pattern. If viewed from higher dimensional space, they form a perfect pentagram centered on the cosmic sanctuary. Ben finished, the implication immediately clear. It's a containment pattern. They're not trying to break in, they're trying to trap something inside dimensional barriers. Or someone, Kai added pointedly. Ben's decision was immediate. I need to get back to the sanctuary. He opened a portal with a gesture. I'll coordinate with plumber teams to secure these sites, Kai said, already activating her communicator. We need to identify who placed these devices. Ben nodded, impressed with her efficient response. Be careful, whoever did this has technology beyond Earth's current capabilities. He stepped through the portal, emerging directly into the cosmic sanctuary's central chamber. The space was in disarray. Crystalline monitors displayed chaotic energy patterns, and the dimensional map on the floor pulsed with warning indicators. Diana and Esther were working frantically at different control interfaces. They both looked up with visible relief as Ben appeared. The dimensional geometry is collapsing inward, Diana reported immediately. These devices aren't just weakening boundaries, they're creating a cascading implosion effect centered directly on this location. Esther's skin patterns flashed urgent mathematical formulas. The pattern locks dimensional frequencies into recursive loops. If the process completes, this entire section of spacetime will be isolated from the broader multiverse. Like being trapped between dimensions, Ben concluded grimly, understanding immediately how terrible such a fate would be for Esther after her previous imprisonment. He extended his awareness, simultaneously connecting with all 5 devices. Their combined effect was indeed creating a sophisticated dimensional cage, one that even his cosmic powers might struggle to break from within once fully formed. I need to neutralize all 5 simultaneously, he determined. Cosmic energy gathering around his form. That's precisely what they want you to do, a new voice interrupted, Lyra's distinctive harmonic tones. She stood at the sanctuary in trance, her silvery form more substantial than before. Diana and Esther moved protectively closer to Ben, clearly suspicious of the newcomer. The devices are synchronized, Lyra continued, approaching the dimensional map. Neutralize one, and the others compensate. Neutralize all simultaneously, and they'll create a dimensional shockwave that will collapse this entire structure into a pocket dimension. Who are you? Diana demanded. A friend. Lyra replied simply, her galaxy eyes fixed on Ben. One who understands dimensional mechanics at their fundamental level. She calls herself Lyra, Ben explained briefly. I encountered her at one of the Xerian network access points. Her dimensional signature is highly unusual, Esther observed, multifaceted eyes narrowing as she studied the newcomer. There's no time for detailed introductions, Lyra insisted, gesturing to the pulsing warning indicators. The containment pattern is already 70% complete. We have minutes at most. Ben processed the situation with enhanced cognition, calculating millions of potential solutions simultaneously. The pattern targets this specific dimensional frequency. If I shift the sanctuary's resonance, they've accounted for that, Lyra countered. The devices adapt to frequency changes. I've seen this technology before. It's designed specifically to contain beings of your nature. Who would have such technology? Diana asked, her scientific curiosity momentarily overriding immediate concerns. Questions for later, Ben decided. Right now, we need a solution. He studied the dimensional map, OBS, RVing how the energy patterns flowed inward toward the sanctuary. The trap was elegant in its design, using Earth's natural dimensional weak points to create a self-reinforcing pattern that grew stronger with each attempt to break it. Then an unexpected perspective emerged in Ben's consciousness, not his own tactical assessment, nor Bellicus's strength, nor even Serena's compassion. This was Somethi, new yet familiar, a distinct viewpoint arising from the merged aspects of his being. The pattern requires a focal point, he said aloud, though the voice carried subtle harmonic differences from his usual tones. A dimensional constant to anchor the containment field. Diana looked at him sharply. Ben, are you all right? Ben felt the distinct consciousness unfurling within him, a separate awareness emerging from the merged aspects. Where Bellicus and Serena had once existed as opposing voices requiring consensus, this new presence felt like a refined distillation of Serena's essential nature, evolving into something more defined. I need to externalize this perspective, Ben said, his voice returning to normal. It may be our only option. Without waiting for their response, Ben focused his cosmic energy inward, isolating the emerging consciousness that had once been part of Serena. Rather than suppressing it, he carefully separated it from his own awareness, creating a distinct RGY pattern that could exist independently while maintaining a fundamental connection to his own consciousness. The process felt like nothing he'd experienced before, neither creation nor division, but something between the two. Cosmic energy swirled around him, coalescing into a humanoid form beside him. As the energy stabilized, it revealed a female figure with celestial features similar to Ben's cosmic aspect, but with distinct differences. Where his cosmic skin featured emerald energy lines, hers pulsed with gentle silver-white light. The figure opened eyes filled with starlight and smiled at Ben with profound recognition. "Hello, Ben," she said, her voice carrying the same harmonic qualities that had briefly manifested in his own speech. "This is an unexpected development." "Serena?" Diana asked uncertainly. "Not exactly," the figure replied. "I contain aspects of what was once Serena, but I've evolved through the merger process." She turned to Ben. "I am both part of you and distant. Court from you, an echo that has developed its own resonance." Serena Prime, Ben named her, understanding her nature instinctively due to their shared consciousness. She nodded in agreement before turning her attention to the dimensional crisis. The containment pattern requires a consistent focal point. If that focal point suddenly divides, the pattern will attempt to adjust, Ben continued her thought, creating momentary instability in the field, which provides an opportunity to collapse the entire system, Serena Prime concluded. Esther's multifaceted eyes widened with understanding. Quote, "Dimensional division rather than unification, the opposite of what they're expecting." "Exactly," Serena Prime confirmed. "Ben and I share a fundamental consciousness, yet we now exist as separate entities. The containment field cannot adapt to both containing and separating us simultaneously." Diana's scientific mind grasped the concept immediately. A quantum paradox applied to dimensional mechanics. "Brilliant. It's theoretically sound," Lyra agreed, studying both Ben and Serena Prime with intense interest. "But the execution requires precise timing. And significant power," Serena Prime added. "We'll need to channel cosmic energy in perfect opposition at the exact moment the containment field attempts to complete." Ben nodded, already calculating the precise timing required. "We'll only get one attempt. If we fail, the backlash could trap us all between dimensions permanently." A tense silence fell as everyone absorbed the stakes. Esther's skin dimmed with understandable fear given her previous imprisonment, while Diana's expression showed determined calculation. Lyra remained enigmatically calm, as though the outcome interested her regardless of success or failure. "The field reaches completion in exactly 73 seconds, Serena Prime announced, her cosmic awareness matching Ben's own. Ben created a complex energy diagram in the air between them, showing the 5 external devices and their converging energy streams. "When the field reaches 98% completion, we channel opposing cosmic forces through these junction points," he explained, highlighting 5 critical intersections. "The energy differential should create cascading failure throughout the system," Serena Prime continued, making minute adjustments to the diagram. "Converting the containment energy into dimensional reinforcement. Like your transformation of the Chronosopian fragments, Diana observed. Similar principle, different application, Ben confirmed. Esther moved to a crystalline control panel, her fingers dancing across its surface as she made preparations. I've calculated the optimal frequency modulation to maximize the effect. 51 seconds, Serena Prime announced quietly. Ben turned to Diana and Lyra. You both need to withdraw to the outer chambers. The energy discharge will be significant. Diana nodded reluctantly, her scientific curiosity clearly warring with self-preservation. Be careful, she said, then added with attempted lightness, I've invested too much research into your transformed state to lose my primary subject now. As she retreated to a safer distance, Lyra lingered, her silvery form gleaming in the sanctuary's light. Your capacity for adaptation is remarkable, she told Ben, her galaxy eyes shifting between him and Serena Prime. Perhaps more remarkable than you yet understand. Before Ben could question this cryptic statement, she followed Diana to the outer chamber. 20 seconds, Serena Prime reported, moving to position herself opposite Ben across the dimensional map. The containment field is accelerating its formation. The warning indicators flashed with increasing urgency as the 5 external devices reached maximum power. Ben could feel the dimensional pressure building around the sanctuary, reality itself compressing inward as the trap prepared to spring. Esther, Ben called, initiate frequency modulation now. Esther activated the sequence, her skin flashing with complex mathematical patterns as she monitored the effect. The sanctuary shimmered, its dimensional resonance shifting slightly, to create maximum disruption when the opposing cosmic forces deployed. 5 seconds, Serena Prime announced, cosmic energy gathering around her form in spirals of silver-white light. Ben gathered his own power, emerald energy flowing from his core in precisely calibrated streams. Though physically separated, he could feel his connection to Serena Prime, a fundamental entanglement that transcended conventional dimensional boundaries. Now, they said in perfect unison as the containment field reached its critical threshold. They released their cosmic energy simultaneously, creating perfect opposition at the 5 junction points Ben had identified. The effect was immediate and spectacular. Where their energies met, reality itself seemed to fold, creating dimensional inversions that propagate outward along the containment field structure. The sanctuary shuddered violently as conflicting cosmic forces battled for dominance. Crystalline monitors shattered and reformed in rapid succession. As probability fluctuated throughout the chamber, the dimensional map on the floor dissolved into pure mathematical potential before reconstructing itself in more complex patterns. Ben maintained perfect focus, adjusting his energy output microsecond by microsecond to counter the containment field's adaptive measures. Across from him, Serena Prime mirrored his actions with perfect complementary precision, their shared consciousness allowing coordination beyond what even telepathy could achieve. Esther worked frantically at the surviving control interfaces, her cartographer's skills proving crucial as she mapped the dimensional shifts in real time and adjusted the sanctuary's resonance accordingly. Her bioluminescent skin flashed with increasingly complex patterns as she pushed her species' natural abilities to their limits. The critical moment arrived when the containment field reached its maximum adaptive capacity. Sensing imminent failure, the field attempted to consolidate its remaining energy into a final compression wave, exactly as Ben had anticipated. Conversion protocol, he called to Serena Prime. In perfect synchronization, they shifted from opposition to harmonization, air emerald and silver energies suddenly flowing in complex complementary patterns. Rather than fighting the containment field's collapse, they guided it, transforming its destructive potential into constructive dimensional reinforcement. The effect cascaded outward from the sanctuary, following the exact pentagram pattern the attackers had established. At each of the 5 archaeological sites, alien devices transformed from weapons into anchors, their energy signatures converting from disruption to stabilization. As the transformation completed, a final pulse of combined emerald and silver energy expanded outward from the sanctuary, creating a momentary visual display visible across the entire planet, a brilliant aurora that briefly illuminated the sky regardless of local time. To ordinary observers, it might appear as an unprecedented celestial event. To those with knowledge of cosmic forces, it represented the successful resolution of a dimensional crisis. The sanctuary gradually stabilized, its systems adapting to the new dimensional configuration. Ben lowered his hands, cosmic energy returning to more manageable levels as the immediate threat passed. Serena Prime likewise reduced her energy output, her celestial form becoming more defined as she shifted to a more sustainable state. The conversion was successful, she observed, examining the dimensional map. The very tools meant to contain us now strengthen our position within the multiversal framework. Whoever they are, they seriously underestimated you, Esther noted, her skin patterns gradually returning to T-Air normal rhythmic pulsing as her agitation subsided. Both of you, she amended, looking between Ben and Serena Prime with evident curiosity. Diana and Lyra returned from the outer chamber, Diana I. Immediately moving to examine the transformed dimensional readings while Lyra studied Serena Prime with undisguised interest. Fascinating, Lyra murmured, circling Serena Prime with graceful movements. A consciousness echo manifesting physical form while maintaining its connection to the source. I've theorized such possibilities, but never observed them directly. I'm not a laboratory specimen, Serena Prime replied calmly but firmly. Establishing boundaries despite her recent emergence. Lyra inclined her head in acknowledgement. Of course. Forgive my scientific curiosity. Diana looked up from her analysis with professional excitement overriding social awareness. The dimensional reinforcement extends well beyond the initial target areas. You've created a self-sustaining stability matrix that adapts to potential weaknesses automatically. Like an immune system for reality, Ben summarized, appreciating Diana's technical understanding despite her very human limitations. Precisely, Diana agreed, though we still don't know who attempted to trap you or why. As if in response to her question, the sanctuary's communication system activated, displaying a holographic image of Kai at the Cambodian temple site. Ben, she began without preamble, we've identified residual energy signatures from the beings who placed these devices. They match nothing in Plummer databases, but the technology has markers consistent with extinction-level weaponry banned by the Galactic Code. Smugglers, Ben suggested, though the sophistication of the attack suggested something more organized. I don't think so, Kai replied, her expression grave. We found this at each site. She held up a small crystalline emblem bearing a symbol Ben didn't recognize, a complex geometric pattern that seemed to shift slightly when viewed directly. Esther moved closer to the holographic display, her multifaceted eyes widening in recognition. That's the insignia of the dimensional architects. You know them? Ben asked, surprised that any group capable of such an attack could have escaped his expanded awareness. They're more myth than reality among cartographers, Esther explained. A rumored collective dedicated to maintaining dimensional purity, preventing cross-dimensional contact or migration. Most consider them a theoretical concept rather than an actual organization. Well, your theoretical concept just tried to trap the most powerful being in this universe inside a dimensional pocket, Kai replied dryly. I'd say that elevates them to practical concern status. Ben's cosmic awareness extended outward, searching for traces of these dimensional architects, but found nothing definitive, only faint echoes suggesting deliberate concealment. They must exist partially outside conventional dimensional frameworks, he concluded, explaining why I haven't detected them before. Or they have technology specifically designed to hide from celestial sapient perception, Serena Prime suggested. This possibility troubled Ben more than he wanted to admit. His merged nature had granted him near omniscience within conventional dimensional parameters. The existence of beings capable of operating beyond those parameters represented a significant unknown variable. We need to learn everything we can about them, he decided. Kai, secure those emblems and bring them to the sanctuary for analysis. Diana, recalibrate your instruments to search for similar energy signatures globally. Esther, I need everything you know or have heard about these architects, no matter how speculative. As they mobilized to address this new threat, Ben noticed Lyra watching the proceedings with an expression he couldn't quite interpret, something between concern and anticipation. You recognize that emblem, he stated rather than asked, cosmic perception allowing him to detect the subtle shift in her energy pattern when the insignia appeared. Lyra met his gaze steadily. I've encountered their work before, in other dimensional regions. The architects believe in absolute separation between realities, what they call dimensional hygiene. Your activities since merging with Alien X represent everything they oppose. Why didn't you mention them earlier? Serena Prime asked, her tone neutral but intent. Because speculation without evidence is merely distraction, Lyra replied. Now that they've revealed themselves, my knowledge becomes relevant. Ben didn't fully trust this explanation, but practical concerns took precedence over suspicion. Any information you have could be crucial. The architects operate through proxies and automated systems, rarely revealing themselves directly, Lyra explained. They believe celestial sapiens are fundamental violations of dimensional law, beings that should remain confined to the forge of creation rather than interacting with lower realities. That explains why they targeted Ben specifically, Diana noted, especially after the merger made his powers more accessible and active. It doesn't explain how they developed technology capable of trapping a merged celestial sapien, Esther pointed out. Such capabilities should be beyond any conventional civilization's reach. Lyra's expression turned grave. There are forces in the multiverse that predate even the celestial sapiens, primordial entities that established the original dimensional boundaries. If the architects have somehow harnessed such forces, she didn't need to complete the thought. The implications were clear enough. Even Ben's cosmic powers might have limitations against truly primordial forces. The conversation was interrupted as Kai arrived through a plumber transport portal, carrying a sealed containment unit. One genuine mysterious alien emblem, ready for analysis, she announced. Setting the unit on a crystalline table that materialized to receive it. Ben approached the containment unit, cosmic senses already probing the emblem within. Up close, its nature beck. Aim clearer. The shifting pattern wasn't merely an optical illusion but actual dimensional fluctuation. The emblem existed simultaneously in multiple dimensional frequencies, allowing it to interact with reality in ways conventional matter couldn't. It's not just a symbol, he realized aloud. It's a dimensional key. Serena Prime moved beside him, her cosmic perception complementing his own. The geometric pattern creates resonance with specific dimensional frequencies. A functional tool disguised as mere identification. Can you trace it back to its origin point? Kai asked practically. Ben concentrated, following the emblem's dimensional signature through increasingly abstract layers of reality. The path led through strange geometries and paradoxical spaces that would drive an ordinary mind to madness. But his merged consciousness could navigate them without disorientation. Eventually, however, he encountered something unexpected, a dimensional dead end, a perfectly constructed term. I-nation point that prevented further tracking. They've created a dimensional cul-de-sac, he explained. The signature leads to a false location specifically designed to trap tracking attempts. Sophisticated, Esther noted with professional admiration despite the circumstances. And concerning, Serena Prime added. Such dimensional manipulation requires intimate knowledge of cosmic principles. Ben turned the problem over in his enhanced mind, considering approaches that would have been inconceivable before his transformation. If we can't track them directly, perhaps we can draw them out. Their primary objective appears to be neutralizing me as a perceived dimensional threat. You're suggesting using yourself as bait? Kai asked, her tone making her opinion of this approach clear. Or like creating a controlled situation where they believe they have an advantage, Ben clarified. If we understand their motivations correctly, they won't stop with one attempt. Diana's scientific mind immediately engaged with the tactical problem. We could modify the sanctuary's dimensional signature to appear vulnerable, like your recent manifestation of Serena Prime created instability in your cosmic structure. A deliberate display of weakness, Serena Prime nodded thoughtfully. Strategic misdirection. It's risky, Esther cautioned. If they employ more powerful technology next time, which is why we prepare thoroughly. Ben interjected. I'm not suggesting immediate action. We need to understand their capabilities better first. The planning session continued for hours, each contributor offering unique perspectives based on their specialties. Diana provided quantum mechanical insights that even Ben's cosmic awareness found valuable in their precise technical application. Esther's cartographic knowledge proved essential for mapping potential dimensional approaches the architects might employ. Kai's archaeological expertise helped identify additional Xerian sites that might serve as dimensional weak points requiring monitoring. Throughout the discussion, Serena Prime demonstrated increasing independence, offering perspectives that sometimes diverged from Ben's despy. Their shared consciousness foundation. Her existence represented something unprecedented, neither fully separate nor merely an extension of Ben's will, but something evolving toward distinct person. While maintaining fundamental connection. Lyra contributed occasionally with observations about dimensional mechanics that suggested knowledge beyond conventional understanding, further deepening the mystery of her own origins. Ben noted her particular interest in interactions between himself and Serena Prime, her galaxy eyes tracking the subtle energetic exchanges that occurred when their cosmic fields overlapped. As night fell over Bellwood, the immediate action plan was established. Enhanced monitoring of all known dimensional weak points, especially those associated with ancient structures. Development of detection systems specifically calibrated for the architect's technological signatures, and careful analysis of the emblems to understand their fundamental principles. We should reconvene tomorrow after preliminary data collection, Ben concluded, conscious that his human associates required rest despite his own freedom from such limitations. As the others prepared to depart, Kai approached Ben with professional composure that didn't entirely mask her personal uncertainty. I've identified 3 additional Xerian sites that don't appear in conventional archaeological records, she said. Transferring data to the sanctuary's systems. They're in remote locations, difficult to access without specialized equipment. Thank you, Ben replied, genuinely appreciative of her expertise. Your archaeological knowledge has been invaluable. Kai hesitated, then spoke in a lower voice. This is going to sound strange, but, are you doing okay? With all of this, she gestured, vaguely toward his cosmic form and the sanctuary around them. The question caught Ben off guard, not because he couldn't answer it, but because so few people thought to ask it. Most either assumed his transformation had elevated him beyond human concerns or were too intimidated by his cosmic nature to consider his personal experience. It's complex, he admitted, consciously shifting his Apira NCE to a more human form out of consideration for her comfort. Having virtually unlimited power and knowledge doesn't automatically grant wisdom about how to use it. Sometimes I miss the simplicity of just being Ben Tennyson. You still are, Kai said with surprising certainty. Different, obviously, but I can still see you in there. The way you consider everyone's input despite knowing more than all of us combined. The way you still make terrible jokes when tension gets too high. Ben smiled despite himself. My jokes were never terrible. Keep telling yourself that, Tennyson, Kai replied with a hint of their old familiarity. Then her expression grew more serious. Just, don't forget your human perspective. It might be your greatest strength, even now. The observation paralleled Hi's own ongoing internal dialogue about maintaining human connection despite cosmic awareness. Before he could respond, Diana called Kai over to coordinate research protocols, ending the moment of personal connection. As the sanctuary gradually emptied, Serena Prime approached Ben, her silver-white energy patterns flowing in gentle currents across her celestial form. An unexpected development, she observed. Which part? Ben asked. The dimensional attack, your manifestation, or Kai's return. All significant variables, Serena Prime acknowledged with a slight smile. But I was referring to he emotional resonance her presence creates within our shared consciousness. Ben didn't bother denying it. Their connection made such pretense pointless. We have history I can access through our shared memories. Serena Prime noted, yet experiencing the emotional response directly is different from observing it through memory. Fascinating. Is it strange? Ben asked suddenly. Existing is both part of me and separate from me. Serena Prime considered the question with the thoughtfulness characteristic of her origin aspect. Strange implies comparative experience. This existence is unique, with no precedent for comparison. She studied her own hands, cosmic energy flowing beneath celestial skin. I contain elements of what was once Serena, filtered through your human perspective. Yet I am becoming something distinct from either source. Evolution rather than simple division, Ben suggested. Precisely, she agreed, though the implications remain unexplored territory. Their philosophical discussion was interrupted by a subtle dimensional fluctuation near the sanctuary entrance. Both turned simultaneously to find Lyra observing them with evident interest. Your man, IFE station represents an unprecedented approach to the consciousness division problem that has limited celestial sapiens for eons, she noted, approaching with her characteristic fluid grace. Neither fully separate nor merely aspects of a single consciousness, but something evolutionarily distinct. You seem unusually knowledgeable about celestial sapien limitations, Ben observed carefully. Lyra's silvery form shimmered slightly in the sanctuary's light. I study dimensional consciousness across the multiverse. Celestial sapiens represent a fascinating but flawed approach to cosmic awareness, Air requirement for consensus creating paradoxical inefficiency despite near unlimited power. A limitation you believe we've overcome, Serena Prime stated rather than asked. Haven't you? Lyra countered. Your response to the architect's trap demonstrated coordination impossible for traditional celestial sapiens. You've created a new evolutionary branch, cosmic power with decisive application. Something in her tone triggered Ben's caution. You speak as though you anticipated this development. Lyra's galaxy eyes met his directly. Not anticipated, hoped for. The multiverse requires balance between cosmic forces. Traditional celestial sapiens maintain stability through inaction and consensus limitations. Your emergence represents potential for active, engaged cosmic consciousness. Potential for what, exactly? Ben pressed. Evolution, Lyra replied simply. The natural progression of consciousness across dimensional boundaries. The capacity to act with both cosmic awareness and mortal perspective simultaneously. Before Ben could pursue this cryptic explanation further, the dimensional map flared with sudden activity. A new pattern was emerging, not hostile intrusion, but a Ural dimensional phenomenon occurring in the Antarctic region. Dimensional aurora, Serena Prime identified, studying the pattern. A harmonic resonance between our recent stabilization work and Earth's magnetic field. It requires investigation, Ben decided, temporarily setting aside his questions about Lyra's true nature and knowledge. I'll accompany you, Serena Prime offered. The phenomenon appears to involve harmonic frequencies similar to those we generated during our countermeasure. Ben nodded in agreement, then turned to Lyra. Our discussion isn't finished. I would be disappointed if it were, she replied, echoing her earlier statement with an enigmatic smile. Some conversations require time to unfold properly. Ben and Serena Prime transformed into pure cosmic energy, departing the sanctuary to investigate the Antarctic phenomenon. As they traveled, Ben maintained partial awareness of the sanctuary, noting that Lyra made no attempt to access restricted systems or areas in their absence. Instead, she simply studied the dimensional map with patient interest, her expression suggesting someone watching a long-anticipated process unfold exactly as expected. The Antarctic dimensional aurora proved fascinating but ultimately benign, a natural harmonic response to their earlier cosmic activities that actually reinforced dimensional stability rather than threatening it. The phenomenon provided valuable data about how Earth's natural systems integrated with higher dimensional energies, potentially useful for future protective measures. More importantly, the joint investigation allowed Ben and Serena Prime to refine their cooperative capabilities, developing complementary approaches that maximized their shared consciousness while respecting their increasingly distinct perspectives. This evolving dynamic represented something truly unprecedented, a new form of cosmic awareness that balanced unity and individuality in ways traditional celestial sapiens could never achieve. As they observed the aurora from the ice shelf, Serena Prime articulated a thought that had been forming in Ben's own consciousness. The architects and Lyra represent opposing approaches to the same fundamental question: how should dimensional boundaries function? Absolute separation versus conscious connectivity. And we represent a third approach, Ben realized. Selective permeability based on conscious evaluation rather than rigid principles. Which explains why both factions have such interest in our development, Serena Prime concluded. We're not just participants in this dimensional debate, we're potentially its resolution. The implication settled between them as they watched the cosmic lights dance across Antarctica's pristine sky. Their existence itself represented an evolutionary pivot point with multiversal implications. Whatever the dimensional architects plan next, whatever Lyra's true nature and purpose might be, the path forward would require careful navigation of cosmic forces beyond conventional understanding. Yet despite these cosmic considerations, Ben found his thoughts returning to Kai's simple reminder about retaining his human perspective. Perhaps that, more than unlimited power or cosmic awareness, would prove the crucial difference in the challenges ahead. As if sensing his thoughts, Serena Prime smiled. Balance between cosmic and human. Neither dominated by infinite awareness nor limited by mortal perspective. Evolution through integration rather than opposition, Ben agreed, watching the dimensional aurora reflect across the ancient ice. Let's see where it leads us. Quote, Chapter 3. Celestial Balance. Dawn broke over Bellwood with mathematical precision, photons scattering through atmospheric particles at angles Ben Tennyson could now calculate instinctively. He stood motionless on the cosmic sanctuary's observation deck, simultaneously experiencing sunrise from every possible perspective. As light spilled across the horizon, Ben perceived not just visible wavelengths but the full electromagnetic spectrum, radio waves pulsing from distant stars, cosmic radiation streaming from galactic cores, and the subtle quantum fluctuations underlying reality itself. Beautiful, isn't it? Diana's voice pulled his awareness back to immediate surroundings. She stood beside him clutching a steaming coffee mug, dark circles beneath her eyes suggesting another all-night research session. Even understanding the physics doesn't diminish the wonder. Ben shifted his perception to more human parameters, focusing on the simple majesty of orange-gold light spilling across morning clouds. Sometimes I forget to look at things the human way, he admitted. Everything becomes equations and energy states. That's why you built this PLA.CE with windows instead of just data feeds, Diana observed, gesturing with her mug toward the panoramic view. You wanted to remember what it feels like to see things, not just understand them. The physicist's insight struck closer than she likely realized. Creating physical structures remained unnecessary for Ben's cosmic form, yet he designed the sanctuary with deliberately human elements, comfortable furniture, conventional doors. Even a fully equipped kitchen despite no longer requiring sustenance. These weren't concessions to visitors but anchors to his humanity. Any progress deciphering the architect emblems? He asked, redirecting conversation toward immediate concerns. Diana's expression brightened with intellectual excitement. Actually, yes, I've been working with Esther to map the dimensional frequencies encoded in their structure. Each emblem contains what appears to be navigational coordinates, but expressed in mathematical systems that operate beyond conventional spacetime. Coordinates to what? We think it's their headquarters, staging area, or possibly some kind of dimensional nexus they control. Diana sipped her coffee, then continued. The problem is translating these coordinates into something we can actually use. It's like having an address written in 5-dimensional mathematics. Show me, Ben requested. Diana led him to her workstation where Holog Rafik displays projected complex mathematical models derived from the emblems. Suspended in the center was a 3-dimensional representation of the complete coordinate system, a geometric structure of impossible angles and self-referential patterns that seemed to fold inward upon itself endlessly. Ben studied the pattern, his cosmic awareness allowing him to perceive dimensional relationships invisible to conventional science. It's a closed-loop dimensional algorithm, he realized. The coordinates don't point to a fixed location because their headquarters exists in a state of perpetual dimensional transit. Like a moving target that never stops shifting position, Diana concluded. No wonder we couldn't track them directly. But every algorithm has parameters, Ben continued, manipulating the holographic model to expose its underlying structure. They can't exist completely outside established dimensional frameworks without expending enormous energy. Diana watched him with undisclosed fascination as he deconstructed the mathematical model layer by layer. To her, the patterns likely appeared as bewildering abstractions. To Ben, they revealed a complex but ultimately comprehensible system for navigating dimensional boundaries. Here, he identified, isolating a recurring pattern within the larger structure. They're using dimensional harmonics to create periodic intersection points with conventional spacetime. These moments of alignment would be brief, perhaps seconds from our perspective, but sufficient for them to interact with our reality when necessary. Can we predict when and where these intersections will occur? With this data alone? No. Ben gestured, collapsing the holographic model. But combined with the information from Kai's archaeological sites and Esther's cartography experience, his cosmic awareness expanded outward, connecting simultaneously with both women despite their physical distance. The sensation registered as a gentle mental chime fo are them, an invitation to share consciousness rather than forceful intrusion. Ben. Esther's thought voice responded first, her mental signature carrying the geometric precision characteristic of her cartographer training. Is everything all right? Kai's consciousness joined seconds later, her thoughts tinged with protective concern acquired through years of plumber association. We've identified a pattern in the architect's dimensional transit system, Ben explained, sharing Diana's findings through direct mental imagery. I need your expertise to complete the analysis. Their combined knowledge flowed through the connection, Esther contributing multidimensional navigation principles developed over centuries of cartography, Kai offering insights about how ancient cultures had mapped Dimensio null weak points using astronomical alignments. Together with Diana's quantum mechanical understanding, the composite data revealed a comprehensive picture of the architect's movement patterns. They're following a dimensional current, Esther realized, her thought voice resonating with professional recognition. A naturally occurring flow between dimensional boundaries that minimizes energy expenditure while maximizing mobility. And they use ancient sites as anchoring points when they need stability, Kai added, her consciousness projecting images of specific archaeological locations that TCHED the dimensional algorithms perfectly. Ben integrated these insights with his cosmic understanding, calculating probable intersection points where the architect's dimensional transit would briefly align with Earth's reality. The pattern crystallized with mathematical certainty. They weren't moving randomly but following a precise dimensional circuit that would bring them into alignment with Bell Elwood's dimensional frequency in approximately 17 hours. They're coming here, he concluded, sharing the completed calculation with all three women simultaneously. Not just sending devices this time. Their actual headquarters will temporarily intersect with our dimensional plane. An opportunity, Esther observed. Or a trap, Kai countered. Both possibilities carried equal probability in Ben's assessment. The architect's previous attempt to contain him had failed, but that failure provided valuable data about his capabilities and responses. Their return could represent either desperate escalation or calculated strategy. We need to prepare, Ben decided. Diana, continue analyzing the emblems for any technological vulnerabilities. Esther, map the predicted intersection coordinates to identify optimal positioning. Kai, I'm already on my way to Bellwood, she interrupted, her mental signature indicating she'd begun moving toward a plumber transport station. Those Dimensiona L coordinates align with something I discovered in the Zirian tablets, a protocol for neutralizing dimensional interlopers. I think the architects are planning to implement it. Ben ended the mental connection with appropriate care, ensuring the transition back to individual consciousness occurred smoothly for his human associates. Their combined insights confirmed his suspicions. The dimensional architects weren't merely ideological opponents but represented a sophisticated organization with specific protocols for addressing what they perceived as dimensional contamination. 17 hours, Diana noted, checking the calculated timeline Ben had shared. Barely enough time to prepare effective countermeasures. Then we'd better get started, Ben replied, his form shifting subtly as he activated deeper layers of cosmic awareness. Constellation patterns beneath his skin accelerated their movement, emerald energy lines pulsing with increased intensity. Diana nodded, already turning back to her workstation with renewed purpose. The physicist had proven remarkably adaptable to cosmic realities that contradicted established scientific principles, her intellectual curiosity consistently eroding natural human fear of the unknown. Ben extended his consciousness throughout the sanctuary, simultaneously monitoring multiple systems while preparing defensive measures. As his awareness expanded, he detected Serena Prime in the dimensional mapping chamber, her silver-white energy signature immediately recognizable despite the complex ambient energies. Rather than projecting his consciousness to her location, Ben chose to travel physically, a deliberate practice of maintaining human connection despite cosmic capabilities. The sanctuary reconfigured itself around him as he walked, cries. Tallinn corridors shifting to create the most efficient path between chambers. He found Serena Prime studying the dimensional map with focused intensity, her celestial form hovering several inches above the floor. Since her manifestation 2 days prior, she had evolved with remarkable speed. Her initially nebulous form now featured more defined characteristics that reflected both her celestial origin and emerging individual identity. You've sensed it too, Ben observed, noting the specific dimensional coordinates highlighted on her display. Serena Prime nodded without turning. The architects approaching dimensional intersection. Their trajectory suggests planned engagement rather than simple transit. Kai believes they're planning to implement some kind of neutralization protocol based on Xerian technology. A logical progression from their containment attempt, Serena Prime agreed, finally turning to face him. Her cosmic features carried subtle differences from his own, where his energy patterns maintained angular geometry reflecting Bellicus's influence, hers flowed in more organic curves, emphasizing the compassionate aspect from which she had evolved. There's something else, she continued, gesturing toward a separate section of the dimensional display where unusual energy patterns had formed. A dimensional anomaly forming near Jupiter's orbit. Its signature resembles Lyra's energy pattern, but substantially larger in scale. Ben extended his cosmic perception toward the indicated coordinates, immediately detecting the disturbance. Unlike the architect's calculated dimensional intersection, this anomaly seemed to be expanding organically, a naturally occurring dimensional window opening between conventional space and whatever realm Lyra called home. Where is she now? Ben asked, suddenly realizing Lyra's silvery presence had been absent from the sanctuary since their conversation the previous evening. Unknown, Serena Prime replied. She departed approximately 7 hours ago without explanation. This development added unwelcome complexity to an already challenging situation. While Lyra hadn't demonstrated hostility, her mysterious nature and extensive knowledge of dimensional mechanics made her an unpredictable variable. The timing of her disappearance and this new anomaly seemed unlikely to be coincidental. We need to investigate the Jupiter anomaly, Ben decided. If it's connected to Lyra, it might represent either additional threat or potential advantage in dealing with the architects. I agree, Serena Prime replied. But approaching unknown dimensional phenomena without adequate preparation would be unwise. As if responding to their discussion, the sanctuary's communication system activated, projecting a holographic image of Lyra herself. Unlike previous communications, her form appeared substantially altered. Her silvery luminescence now contained swirling galactic patterns similar to those visible in Ben and Serena Prime's cosmic aspects. Ben Tennyson. Lyra's harmonic voice carried unusual urgency. The crystalline dominion has detected your dimensional signature being targeted by architect protocols. I've been authorized to offer sanctuary if needed. Quote, you disappeared without explanation, Ben replied evenly. Now a dimensional anomaly appears near Jupiter with your energy signature. Forgive my suspicion, but the timing seems convenient. Lyra's expression registered something between resignation and amusement. Caution is appropriate given circumstances. The anomaly is indeed my doing, a dimensional gate. Way between your reality and the crystalline dominion. My people believe your evolutionary approach to cosmic consciousness deserves protection from the architect's dimensional purism. Your people, Serena Prime repeated with subtle emphasis. You've never clearly identified your species or civilization beyond vague references to the crystalline dominion, a realm that exists in no known dimensional catalog. Because it exists beyond conventional dimensional parameters, Lyra replied. Just as celestial sapiens exist partially outside normal spacetime, my civilization occupies dimensional frequencies that resist standard classification. Ben studied Lyra's holographic projection with enhanced perception, noting subtle inconsistencies in her energy pattern, fluctuations that suggested complexity beyond simple interdimensional communication. You're not just offering sanctuary, he observed. You're proposing alliance against the architects. Their dimensional absolutism threatens all realities, Lyra confirmed. They believe boundaries between dimensions should be impermeable, that cross-dimensional influence represents contamination requiring purification. Your transformed celestial, sapien status embodies everything they oppose, conscious direction of cosmic power across dimensional boundaries. The communication chamber fell silent as Ben and Serena Prime exchanged glances, their partial consciousness sharing allowing complex discussion without words. Lyra's explanation aligned with available evidence, yet critical aspects of her own nature remained deliberately obscured. We appreciate the offer, Ben finally responded, but we need more information before considering dimensional relocation. Specifically, we need to understand who exactly we'd be allying with. Lyra's projection shimmered slightly, her galactic eyes studying Ben with unmistakable evaluation. I understand your caution. Perhaps direct observation would be more convincing than explanation. The holographic image gestured gracefully. I extend formal invitation for you to visit the gateway and observe the crystalline dominion directly. Bring companions if you wish. The dimensional parameters have been calibrated for safe human transit. Before either could respond, the communication terminated, leaving Ben and Serena Prime contemplating this unexpected development. A convenient solution appearing precisely when needed. Serena Prime observed, her tone neutral but questioning. Too convenient, Ben agreed. But potentially valuable regardless of Lyra's true motives. If nothing else, the Gateway provides tactical options we didn't have before. Their strategic assessment was interrupted by the sanctuary's alert system detecting multiple incoming travelers. The dimensional fabric rippled as a plumber transport portal materialized in the communication chamber, depositing Kai and Esther simultaneously. Kai stepped forward immediately, her archaeological field gear exchanged for more practical tactical attire. She carried a worn leather satchel containing what Ben's enhanced perception identified as ancient stone tablets and translation equipment. The determination in her posture spoke of urgent discoveries. The Xerian neutralization protocol isn't just theory, she announced without preamble. It was successfully implemented against a celestial sapien approximately 8,000 years ago. This revelation commanded immediate attention. According to all known records, celestial sapiens remained virtually invulnerable to external influence due to their partial existence outside conventional reality. That should be impossible, Serena Prime stated. Celestial sapiens exist partially beyond dimensional constraints. Exactly why the Xerian approach worked, Kai explained, removing a stone tablet from her satchel and placing it on the chamber's central platform. They didn't attack the celestial sapien directly. They created what translates roughly as a dimensional inverse on field that temporarily folded reality around the target. The central platform activated, scanning the tablet and projecting enhanced images of its inscriptions. Complex geometric patterns intertwined with pictographic representations of cosmic entities trapped within nested dimensional boundaries. The inversion field doesn't damage the celestial sapien, Kai continued, indicating specific glyphs. It creates a localized dimensional pocket where cosmic abilities cannot affect external reality. Essentially, it redirects cosmic power back upon itself, creating a self-sustaining prison. Ben studied the ancient diagrams with growing concern. The Xerian mathematics displayed sophisticated understanding of dimensional mechanics that rivaled even celestial sapien knowledge. If the architects had successfully recovered this technology, they represented a more significant threat than previously assessed. The tablet includes detailed technical specifications, Kai added, highlighting particular sections. The Xerian were nothing if not meticulous record keepers. They documented exactly how the field was generated using specific monumental alignments and material components. Esther moved closer to the projection, her cartographer's expertise allowing her to recognize dimensional formulas hidden within the pictographic elements. These alignment patterns match the pentagram configuration from their previous attempt, she noted, but this version includes additional dimensional harmonics that would substantially increase field stability. Can it be countered? Ben asked directly. Kai hesitated, exchanging glances with Esther before responding. Theoretically, yes. The tablet describes the field's fundamental resonance pattern. With sufficient understanding of dimensional mechanics, one could potentially create a counterfrequency that would disrupt the inversion effect. But generating such a counterfrequency would require precise application of cosmic energy from within the field itself, Esther clarified. An impossible paradox, since the field's primary function is to contain such energy. The strategic implications crystallized in Ben's enhanced cognition. The architect's previous containment attempt had been merely preliminary, a test of his capabilities and responses before implementing their actual neutralization protocol. Their approaching dimensional intersection represented the true threat. We have approximately 16 hours before their arrival, Ben noted. We need to develop effective countermeasures based on this information. I've identified the precise location where their dimensional intersection will occur, Esther reported, activating a separate holographic display showing geographical coordinates in Bellwood's Municipal Park. The alley, GN meant places their emergence point directly opposite the cosmic sanctuary across a perfect geodesic curve, creating maximum dimensional tension between opposing forces, Serena Prime observed. You're approaching this as a fundamental dimensional conflict rather than conventional confrontation. Then we need to consider unconventional responses, Ben decided. Kai, continue analyzing the Ziri on tablets for potential vulnerabilities in their approach. Diana's working on the emblems. Coordinate with her to identify technological weaknesses. Esther, your dimensional navigation expertise will be crucial for developing evasive strategies if direct countermeasures fail. As they dispersed to their respective tasks, Ben's cosmic awareness detected Serena Prime's subtle shift in energy pattern. A fluctuation suggesting unspoken concerns. Something's troubling you, he observed once they were alone. Serena Prime considered her response carefully. The architect's approach targets fundamental cosmic nature rather than specific abilities. This suggests potential vulnerability in our shared consciousness structure. You're concerned about what happens to you if I'm neutralized, Ben realized. Our existence remains unprecedented, she acknowledged. My consciousness emerged from yours, yet maintains increasing independence. The connection between us defies conventional dimensional parameters. The observation highlighted an uncomfortable reality they'd both recognized but not directly addressed. Serena Prime was evolving toward distinct personhood while remaining fundamentally connected to Ben's consciousness, a paradoxical state with no clear precedent or predictable outcomes. If the architects succeed in containing me, your independent status might actually protect you, Ben suggested. Your existence could continue regardless of my neutralization. Perhaps, she agreed, though her tone suggested limited confidence in this assessment. But our connection transcends energy patterns or consciousness sharing. Disrupting one likely affects both. The conversation touched on existential questions beyond tactical considerations. Serena Prime's emergence represented an evolutionary development in cosmic consciousness, neither fully independent nor merely aspectual, but something genuinely new. Her potential neutralization alongside Ben would eliminate not just an individual consciousness but an entirely new mode of cosmic existence. We won't let it come to that, Ben assured her, his conviction genuine despite the substantial threat they faced. Their philosophical discussion was interrupted by the sanctuary's alert system detecting unusual energy patterns. The dimensional map flared with activity centered on Jupiter's orbit, the anomaly associated with Ra expanding dramatically in both size and complexity. The gateway is becoming unstable, Serena Prime observed, analyzing the fluctuating dimensional signatures. Energy patterns suggest uncontrolled expansion rather than deliberate reconfiguration. We need to investigate immediately, Ben decided. If that gateway collapses improperly, the dimensional backlash could affect Earth's entire local space. Without further discussion, they synchronized their cosmic energy, creating a shared dimensional transport field that allowed instantaneous transition to the anomaly's location. Unlike conventional teleportation, this method involved briefly existing in a state of pure cosmic potential, neither fully material nor entirely energy-based, but a perfect intermediate state that could traverse dimensional boundaries effortlessly. They rematerialized in open space near Jupiter's orbit, cosmic awareness automatically adapting to vacuum conditions. Before them hung the dimensional gateway, a Saint crystalline structure approximately 3 kilometers in diameter, its surface pulsating with energy patterns that bridged multiple dimensional frequencies simultaneously. The gateway's structure paired partially physical and partially energy-based, with crystalline formations extending outward from a central nexus of swirling dimensional currents. These formations weren't constructed from conventional matter but existed as mathematical expressions given semi-physical form, pure dimensional geometry rendered visible. More concerning than its structure was its obvious instability. Fracture P. A turn spread across the crystalline segments, releasing pulses of dimensional energy that rippled outward through local spacetime. Each pulse created momentary distortions in reality, brief windows Here dimensional boundaries temporarily dissolved. This wasn't designed for prolonged stability, Serena Prime observed, her cosmic senses analyzing the gateway's fundamental structure. It's a temporary construct created to facilitate rapid transit rather than sustained connection. Lyra misrepresented its nature, Ben concluded, cosmic energy flowing from his hands to contain the escaping dimensional currents. This isn't a carefully calibrated doorway, it's a dimensional breach using brute force methods. As they worked to stabilize the deteriorating structure, Ben's enhanced perception detected movement within the gateway itself. A figure emerged from the swirling dimensional energies, Lyra, her silvery form now substantially altered. The galactic patterns previously visible in her holographic projection had intensified, spreading across her entire body in configurations eerily similar to Ben's own cosmic aspect. The structural degradation accelerated beyond anticipated parameters, she explained without preamble, joining their efforts to contain the gateway's instability. The crystalline dominion exists at dimensional frequencies fundamentally incompatible with your reality space parameters. You never intended this gateway to remain stable, Serena Prime observed, silver-white energy streaming from her hands to reinforce Ben's containment field. Lyra's expression allied complex emotions, determination mingled with unexpected vulnerability. Temporary stability was always the maximum possibility. Sufficient for evacuation purposes, not permanent connection. Evacuation? Ben questioned sharply, his focus divided between containment efforts and Lyra's concerning terminology. Before she could respond, the gateway pulsed violently, its crystalline structure fracturing further as dimensional energies surged beyond their combined containment capacity. The central nexus expanded uncontrollably, cosmic geometries warping as incompatible dimensional frequencies collided. Catastrophic collapse imminent, Serena Prime announced, her cosmic senses calculating precise failure trajectories. Dimensional backlash will extend throughout the solar system if uncontained. Ben processed the situation with enhanced cognition, calculating millions of potential solutions simultaneously. Most conventional approaches proved inadequate. The gateway's deterioration had progressed beyond simple stabilization. Containing the inevitable dimensional explosion would require perfect synchronization of cosmic forces applied from multiple perspectives simultaneously. We need to create a dimensional absorption field, he determined. Convert the collapse energy into constructive rather than destructive forces. Similar to your transformation of the Chronosopian fragments, Serena Prime noted. Immediately understanding his approach, the principle is sound, Lyra agreed, her galaxy eyes assessing the gateway's degradation pattern. But generating sufficient absorption capacity would require synchronized cosmic output from multiple sources, Ben finished. That's why you brought us here. Lyra's expression confirmed his assessment. The crystalline dominion lacks entities capable of manipulating cosmic energies at sufficient scale. When the gateway began destabilizing, evacuation became impossible without external intervention. The immediate crisis took precedence over Lyra's evident manipulation. Ben extended his cosmic awareness toward Serena Prime, establishing the perfect synchronization they had developed during previous collaborative efforts. Our emerald and silver energies merged at precisely calculated junction points, creating a dimensional containment field around the failing gateway. We need a third vector, Serena Prime determined, SMIC mathematics flowing between their shared consciousness. The gateway's collapse follows tripartite dimensional harmony, we need corresponding counterbalance. Lyra moved into position, completing their triangular formation around the gateway. Her silvery energy joined theirs, creating the third vector needed for complete dimensional coverage. The combined containment field stabilized momentarily, slowing the gateway's deterioration but not halting it completely. As they maintained the containment field, Ben's enhanced perception detected something unexpected within Lyra's energy signature. Familiar patterns that shouldn't exist in a truly alien consciousness. The realization formed with mathematical certainty. Lyra's fundamental energy structure contained elements that exactly matched his own cosmic signature. You're not from another dimension, Ben stated, maintaining the containment field despite his growing suspicion. Your energy signature contains frequencies identical to mine. Lyra's concentration wavered briefly, her silvery form flickering as though experiencing momentary phase disruption. This crisis takes precedence over explanations, she deflected, channeling tional energy into the containment field. Your true nature is relevant to resolving this situation, Serena Prime countered, her silver-white energy adapting to compensate for Lyra's fluctuation. Particularly if you're connected to Ben's consciousness. The gateway's deterioration accelerated suddenly, crystalline structures shattering as dimensional energies surged beyond their combined containment capacity. The central nexus collapsed inward, creating a rapidly expanding dimensional vortex that threatened to draw surrounding space into its distortion field. Full containment failing, Serena Prime reported. Cosmic calculations streaming through their shared awareness. Conversion approach required immediately. Ben shifted his focus from containment to transformation, applying the principle that had successfully converted the chronosepian fragments. Rather than simply restraining the gateway's collapse, he began reconfiguring its fundamental dimensional frequencies, converting destructive chaos into structured harmony. Follow my pattern, he instructed both companions, projecting the precise energy configuration required. Serena Prime adapted instantly, her silver-white energy flowing in perfect complementary patterns. Lyra hesitated momentarily before aligning her contribution, creating the complete triadic harmony necessary for full conversion. As their combined cosmic forces reshaped the collapsing gateway, Ben maintained partial awareness of Lyra's energy signature, analyzing its fundamental structure with enhanced perception. The mathematical certainty solidified. Her energy patterns weren't merely similar to his own. They were derived directly from his cosmic essence, containing specific frequency markers impossible to generate independently. The gateway's collapse reached critical threshold. Dimensional energies compressing to maximum density before conversion could complete. In this final moment of crisis, Lyra's form destabilized completely, her silvery substance dissolving into pure energy that flowed directly into the conversion matrix. She's sacrificing herself to complete the transformation, Serena Prime observed, adjusting her own energy output to compensate. No, Ben countered, cosmic awareness perceiving the true nature of what was occurring. She's returning to her source. The gateway's collapse completed with unexpected elegance, its chaotic energies transforming into a perfectly structured dimensional nexus that radiated outward in harmonious waves. Where destructive backlash would have damaged spacetime throughout the solar system, reconstructive energy now spread, strengthening dimensional boundaries naturally. As the crisis resolved, Lyra's energy signature didn't vanish but reintegrated, flowing back toward Ben like water returning to its ocean. The sensation registered not as external absorption but internal realization, consciousness fragments rejoining their source. With this reintegration came understanding. Lyra had never been an independent entity from another dimension. She was a manifestation of Ben's own cosmic consciousness, created unconsciously during his early adjustment to the merger with Alien X's aspects. She was part of you all along. Serena Prime realized, observing the energy patterns with growing comprehension. A partitioned aspect of your consciousness given autonomous form. The revelati. Explained Lyra's extensive knowledge of dimensional mechanics, her familiar energy signature, and her consistent interest in Ben's evolutionary development. Unlike Serena Prime, who had emerged through deliberate separation, Lyra had formed unconsciously, a response to Ben's profound loneliness during initial adjustment to cosmic awareness. The crystalline dominion never existed, Ben confirmed, processing the integrated memories and awareness now flowing back into his consciousness. She created it as a framework to understand her own existence. Yet she acted with apparent independence, Serena Prime noted, making decisions contradicting your conscious intentions, including creating the unstable gateway. Because she represented aspects of my consciousness I hadn't fully integrated, Ben explained. Understanding forming with perfect clarity as Lyra's memories completed their reintegration. Specifically, my desire for connection with beings who could understand cosmic existence. Their philosophical discussion was interrupted by urgent communication from Earth. Diana's voice transmitting directly to their cosmic awareness. The architects have accelerated their approach. Dimensional intersection now predicted in less than 3 hours. The strategic implications registered immediately. The architects had likely detected the dimensional disturbance caused by the gateways collapse and advanced their timeline accordingly, perhaps fearing Ben was implementing countermeasures against their planned neutralization. We need to return immediately, Ben decided, already generating the dimensional transport field. The gateway situation may have inadvertently accelerated the confrontation. They transitioned back to Earth with instantaneous precision, rematerializing within the cosmic sanctuary where Diana, Kai, and Esther awaited with obvious concern. The dimensional intersection point has shifted, Diana reported without preamble, activating a holographic display showing Bellwood's geographical layout. A pulsing red marker indicated the revised coordinates, directly above the cosmic sanctuary itself. They're no longer approaching with subtlety, Esther observed, her multifaceted eyes studying the dimensional projections. This is direct confrontation rather than strategic positioning. Did something happen out there? Kai asked, noting the absence of Lyra, and subtle changes in Ben's cosmic appearance, constellation patterns shifting with newly integrated awareness. Lyra wasn't what she appeared to be, Ben explained briefly. She was an unconscious creation of my own cosmic consciousness, a partitioned aspect that developed apparent autonomy. Like Serena Prime? Diana asked, scientific curiosity immediately engaged despite the crisis. Similar mechanism, different genesis. Serena Prime clarified, I emerged through deliberate separation during a specific crisis. Lyra formed unconsciously during Ben's initial adjustment to cosmic awareness. And now she's been reintegrated. Ben confirmed, feeling the stabilizing effect of this reunification, fragmented aspects of his consciousness functioning in greater harmony. Kai processed this information with remarkable composure. So the mysterious ally from another dimension was actually part of you all along. That's unusually straightforward for cosmic developments. Her subtle humor despite dire circumstances reminded Ben why he'd always valued her perspective. Kai maintained practical grounding regardless of how abstract the situation became. This quality had proven essential during T.'s earlier adventures and remained valuable even when facing cosmic-scale threats. The architect's accelerated approach gives us limited preparation time. Ben redirected focus to immediate concerns. Kai, what have you learned from the Zirian tablets about potential vulnerabilities in their neutralization protocol? Kai activated her own display, showing translated Zirian mathematics alongside dimensional models. The inversion field requires perfect geometric alignment to maintain stability. Introducing asymmetrical energy at key junction points could potentially disrupt field formation. The challenge remains implementation, Esther added. Generating appropriate asymmetrical energy while targeted by the field itself creates a temporal paradox, effect preceding cause. Ben processed these insights alongside newly integrated awareness from Lyra's reintegration. The combined perspective revealed an approach that had previously remained obscured, utilizing the very dimensional principle plus the architects employed against them. What if we don't resist the field directly? He proposed. Instead of preventing its formation, we allow it to establish, then introduce instability from within. That contradicts fundamental dimensional mechanics, Diana objected. The field's primary function is containing cosmic energy. You couldn't generate sufficient disruption from inside once trapped. Not alone, Ben agreed. Turning toward Serena Prime. But we're not dealing with conventional cosmic constraints anymore. Serena Prime immediately understood his reasoning. Our shared conscio, USNESS, transcends standard dimensional parameters. Even separated physically, we maintain fundamental connection that might persist despite the inversion field. A quantum entanglement analog applied to cosmic consciousness. Diana realized, scientific excitement momentarily overriding pragmatic concerns. Theoretically sound, but untested at this scale, and requires perfect synchronization, Esther cautioned. Any misalignment during implementation could trap both consciousnesses rather than creating the disruption effect. As they debated technical approaches, the sanctuary's alert system detected rapidly accelerating dimensional disturbance. The architect's intersection had advanced again, now less than 30 minutes from materialization. Theory becomes academic when time runs out, Kai observed pragmatically. We need actionable strategy immediately. Ben made his decision, cosmic awareness calculating optimal positioning and energy requirements. We'll implement a modified version of their own approach. Serena Prime will position outside their projected materialization coordinates while I remain at the sanctuary. When they establish the inversion field, she'll channel COSM. I see energy along our shared consciousness connection, creating the asymmetrical disruption Kai identified. What if the connection doesn't persist within the field? Diana asked, legitimate concern evident in her expression. Then I'll improvise, Ben replied with a hint of his old human spontaneity. It's gotten me this far. The strategic briefing was interrupted by the sanctuary's proximity alar. Ms. Dimensional distortions forming directly overhead as the architect's intersection began ahead of projected schedule. Reality rippled visibly as dimensional boundaries thinned, creating cascading distortion effects throughout local spacetime. They're already here, Esther announced unnecessarily, her cartographer senses detecting dimensional shifts beyond conventional instrumentation. Positions, Ben instructed calmly. Diana, monitor dimensional frequencies from the protected chamber. Kai, Esther, coordinate with Plummer forces to establish perimeter containment in case this goes poorly. And if it goes extremely poorly? Kai asked, her concern practical rather than fearful. Then Serena Prime represents Plan B, Ben replied. Her independent status might allow intervention even if I'm neutralized. As the others moved to their assigned positions, Ben and Serena Prime shared a moment of direct consciousness connection, exchanging complex strategic calculations and contingency plans with perfect efficiency. Their communication transcended conventional dialogue, transferring complete conceptual understanding rather than linear information. Be careful, Serena Prime said aloud as they concluded their silent exchange, a deliberately human expression of concern despite their cosmic nature. You too, Ben replied simply. Serena Prime departed, cosmic energy propelling her to predetermined coordinates while Ben ascended to the sanctuary's upper observation platform. There he waited, cosmic awareness extended to maximum perception as reality itself began unraveling overhead. E-dimensional intersection manifested as a geometric impossibility, a structure that appeared simultaneously enormous and microscopic depending on perceptual framework. Its architecture defied conventional physical laws, featuring angles that couldn't exist in three-dimensional space and surfaces that reflected light from frequencies beyond visible spectrum. From this impossible geometry emerged five figures, humanoid in basic configuration but clearly not human in nature. Their bodies seemed composed of overlapping dimensional planes rather than physical matter, creating the visual impression of beings constructed from perfectly aligned glass sheets. Where faces should be, they displayed mathematical formulas that shifted continuously in response to surrounding dimensional parameters. The lead figure oriented toward Ben, its formula face reconfiguring to establish communication parameters. When it spoke, the sound manifested directly within dimensional fabric rather than through conventional acoustic vibration. Celestial Sapien hybrid anomaly designated Benjamin Tennyson, it stated, mathematical precision evident even in translated speech. Your dimensional integration represents fundamental violation of established boundary protocols. Neutralization has been authorized under Architect Directive 7. I was wondering when we'd finally meet, Ben replied calmly, cosmic GY flowing beneath his skin in controlled patterns. You've gone to considerable trouble to contain me without direct confrontation. Why change approach now? The formula face reconfigured briefly. T might be considered expression in such an alien being. Recent dimensional disruption in Jupiter orbit demonstrated escalating contamination risk. Immediate intervention required to prevent irreversible boundary degradation. You mean you panicked when you detected the gateway collapse, Ben interpreted. Afraid your carefully planned neutralization might be preempted by countermeasures. Emotional interpretation is irrelevant, the architect responded. Dimensional integrity remains sole consideration. Your hybrid existence violates fundamental separation principles governing multiversal stability. The diplomatic exchange continued while Ben's cosmic awareness detected the other architects positioning themselves at precise coordinates around the sanctuary. They were establishing the pentagram configuration described in the Zirian tablets, preparing to generate the inversion field while their leader maintained distraction through conversation. You believe dimensional boundaries should remain absolute, Ben observed, tracking their movements without revealing awareness. That separation between realities represents natural order rather than artificial constraint. Correct assessment, the lead architect confirmed. Cross-dimensional contamination creates cascading probability distortions. Your merger with celestial Sapien aspects represents unprecedented contamination vect, or with exponential disruption potential. Yet the multiverse hasn't collapsed despite my activities, Ben countered. Perhaps absolute separation isn't actually necessary for dimensional stability. Short-term stability observations are statistically insignificant. Long-term projections demonstrate inevitable degradation when boundaries weaken. The surrounding architects completed their geometric positioning. Dimensional energy beginning to flow between their crystalline forms. Ben detected the inversion field's initial formation, subtle distortions in local dimensional fabric as they implemented the Zirian protocol. Your concerns might be legitimate, Ben acknowledged, maintaining conversation while extending cosmic awareness toward Serena Prime's position. But your approach is fundamentally flawed. Stability through forced separation creates more vulnerabilities than it prevents. The lead architect's formula face registered what might be interpreted as dismissal. Theoretical objections noted. Implementation proceeds regardless. With that declaration, the dimensional energy flowing between the surrounding architects intensified dramatically. Reality itself seemed to fold inward around Ben. Cosmic mathematics made visible as the inversion field established its initial boundaries. The sensation registered as increasing pressure against his cosmic awareness, dimensional constraints tightening around his consciousness like a gradually contracting cage. Ben maintained outward calm while internally implementing countermeasures. His connection with Serena Prime remained intact despite growing dimensional distortion, their shared consciousness creating a channel that transcended the field's conventional containment properties. The lead architect observed his apparent acceptance with mathematical satisfaction. Resistance is unnecessary. The inversion field causes no damage to contained entities, merely prevents dimensional contamination through absolute isolation. I understand the principle, Ben replied evenly. I simply disagree with its application. The inversion field reached 70% completion, dimensional constraints becoming increasingly restrictive. Ben's cosmic awareness detected corresponding changes in his own energy structure, his connection to broader dimensional frequencies weakening as the field established isolation parameters. At precisely calculated moment, Ben transmitted the activation signal through his consciousness link with Serena Prime. The message contained not just timing instruction but complete mathematical formula for generating the specific asymmetrical energy pattern required to disrupt the inversion field. Simultaneously, he addressed the lead architect directly. Before you complete this neutralization, understand something fundamental about my transformed nature. Additional information is irrelevant at this stage, the architect responded, formula face displaying completion calculations as He field reached 85% stability. I think you'll find this particular information directly relevant, Ben countered, cosmic awareness detecting Serena Prime's precisely timed approach. My consciousness doesn't exist in a single-dimensional location anymore. The inversion field reached 90% completion just as Serena Prime arrived at optimal position outside its boundary. Her silver-white cosmic energy flowed through their shared consciousness link, manifesting within the nearly completed field despite dimensional isolation protocols. The asymmetrical energy pattern emerged at precisely calculated junction points, creating fundamental mathematical contradiction within the field's structure. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The inversion field's elegant diamonds, ional geometry fractured along fault lines created by the asymmetrical energy, mathematical paradox propagating throughout its structure with exponential acceleration. Where perfect symmetry had created containment, introduced asymmetry caused cascading dissolution. The architects responded with immediate countermeasures, attempting to stabilize the field by redistributing dimensional energy. Our crystalline forms vibrated at increasing frequencies as they channeled additional power into failing containment structures. Ben seized this moment of disruption to implement his own offensive strategy. Rather than simply escaping the weakened field, he extended cosmic awareness throughout its mathematical framework, identifying fundamental dimensional constants governing its operation. With precise application of cosmic energy, he began rewriting these constants, not destroying the field, but transforming its function. The lead architect detected his manipulation immediately, formula face displaying what translated as alarm. Field integrity compromised, dimensional reconfiguration detected at core parameters. I'm not destroying your work, Ben explained as cosmic energy flowed from high's hands into the field's mathematical structure. I'm improving it. Absolute separation creates fragility. Selective permeability creates resilience. The transformation propagated throughout the field's dimensional framework, converting its function from isolation to filtration. Where it had attempted to create absolute boundary between Ben and surrounding reality, it now established selective interface, allowing consciousness connection while maintaining structural integrity. The architects attempted to abort the process, withdrawing energy from the compromised field. Their retreat came too late. The transformation had reached critical momentum, Ben's cosmic reprogramming spreading throughout the dimensional construct with mathematical inevitability. As the transformed field stabilized in its new configuration, Ben extended his awareness toward the retreating architects. Rather than pursuing directly, he established dimensional anchors throughout local spacetime, not to trap them, but to prevent immediate escape to their transit dimension. This conversation isn't finished, he stated, cosmic authority resonating through dimensional fabric. The lead architect halted its retreat, formula face reconfiguring to express what might be considered resignation. Field transformation demonstrates capability beyond projected parameters. Neutralization protocol ineffective against current hybrid configuration, which suggests your fundamental assumptions require reassessment, Ben observed. Dimensional integrity doesn't require absolute separation. Controlled permeability actually strengthens overall stability through adaptive response. Serena Prime arrived, passing effortlessly through the transformed field to stand beside Ben. Her silver-white energy complemented his emerald patterns, creating visual representation of their shared yet distinct consciousness. Your fear of contamination prevents you from recognizing evolutionary advantage, she added. Dimensional systems flourish through selective exchange rather than isolation. The lead architect's formula face processed this information with mathematical precision, complex calculations visible within its shifting patterns. The other architects gathered nearby, their crystalline forms arranging in what appeared to be consultation configuration. After brief deliberation, the lead architect addressed Ben directly. Your transformation of the inversion field demonstrates principles contradicting established dimensional doctrine. The architects acknowledge requirement for parameter reassessment. You're willing to reconsider your approach. Ben confirmed, cosmic awareness detecting subtle shifts in their dimensional signatures suggesting genuine recalibration rather than strategic retreat. Mathematical evidence cannot be dismissed despite theoretical contradiction, the architect responded. Your hybrid existence represents unprecedented evolutionary approach to dimensional interaction. Further observe ion required before definitive assessment. Observation, not interference, Ben clarified, establishing clear boundary. Agreed, with condition, the lead architect countered. Regular dimensional ability reporting and consultation regarding significant cross-dimensional activities. The proposed arrangement represented significant concession from their previous neutralization objective, S&T. Ally offering cooperation rather than confrontation. Ben's cosmic awareness calculated potential outcomes, finding substantial advantage in establishing diplomatic relations rather than perpetuating conflict. Acceptable, he agreed, provided such consultation remains advisory rather than restrictive. The negotiation continued briefly, establishing specific parameters for future interaction between Ben's evolving cosmic consciousness and the dimensional architect's oversight responsibilities. Throughout this diplomatic exchange, Serena Prime contributed perspective emphasizing evolutionary potential rather than rigid constraint, her distinct viewpoint proving valuable despite shared consciousness origins. As agreement solidified, the architects prepared to return to their dimensional transit. The lead figure addressed Ben one final time, its formula face configured in what might be interpreted as formal acknowledgement. Your transformation of the inversion field will be studied extensively. The principles demonstrated suggest alternative approaches to dimensional maintenance previously unconsidered. With that parting observation, the architects shifted dimensional frequency. They are crystalline forms phasing out of conventional reality as they return to their transit dimension. The geometric impossibility of their headquarters followed, folding inward upon itself until no trace remained in observable spacetime. As their dimensional signature faded from detection, Ben allowed himself momentary relief, cosmic energy settling into more sustainable patterns as immediate crisis passed. Beside him, Serena Prime's silver-white form showed similar relaxation, the intense concentration of battle giving way to calmer awareness. That went better than expected, she observed with subtle humor. Converting opposition to cooperation usually does, Ben agreed, his cosmic perception detecting the sanctuary's defensive systems returning to normal operation as threat assessment downgraded. Diana, Kai and Esther emerged from their respective positions, approaching with expressions ranging from scientific curiosity to practical relief. Diana immediately activated scanning equipment, recording residual energy patterns from the transformed inversion field with professional enthusiasm. "The dimensional mathematics are fascinating," she commented, studying readings with obvious excitement. "You didn't just disrupt their field, you fundamentally reprogrammed its operational principles." Converting containment to filtration, Ben confirmed. Selective permeability instead of absolute isolation. "The same principle you applied to the dimensional tiers 6 months ago," Kai noted with characteristic perceptiveness. "Creating systems that adapt rather than merely prohibit. It's becoming your signature approach," Esther observed, her cartographer's perspective appreciating the elegant dimensional solution. Finding balance between complete separation and unrestricted flow. The observation carried deeper significance than mere tactical assessment. Throughout his adjustment to cosmic awareness, Ben had struggled with similar balance, maintaining human connection despite virtually unlimited power and knowledge. His approach to dimensional mechanics reflected this personal evolution, finding middle ground between cosmic detachment and human engagement. As emergency response activities concluded and sanctuary systems normalized, the group gathered in the central observation chamber. Earth's evening sky spread above them through the crystalline ceiling, stars emerging as sunset faded to deeper blue. The familiar celestial display carried new significance after confronting beings dedicated to absolute dimensional separation, a reminder that boundaries existed to be understood rather than merely enforced. "So what happens now?" Kai asked, pragmatic as always. "You've gained reluctant acceptance from cosmic bureaucrats, reabsorbed your unconscious creation, and established diplomatic relations with interdimensional architects." Typical Thursday for Ben Tennyson. Her light humor eased lingering tension, drawing genuine laughter from everyone present, even Serena Prime, whose emotional responses continued evolving toward greater independence despite shared consciousness origin. "Now we continue what we started 6 months ago," Ben replied, cosmic awareness extending briefly toward distant dimensional boundaries that required ongoing attention. Learning to balance cosmic responsibility with human connection. Finding appropriate applications for virtually unlimited power while remembering why it matters. "The philosophical challenges arguably exceed the cosmic ones," Diana observed with scientific precision. "Unlimited capability without clear limitation creates fundamental purpose questions. Which is precisely why maintaining human perspective remains essential," Serena Prime added, her silver-white form shifting subtly more humanoid as she spoke. Ongoing evolution toward distinct identity evident in her increasingly individualized appearance. The conversation continued as night deepened outside, stars multiplying across the visible sky. Nickel discussions about dimensional mechanics blended with philosophical debates about consciousness and identity, scientific analysis of cosmic principles merging with practical considerations about Earth's ongoing protection. Throughout this multifaceted exchange, Ben observed something significant. His expanded cosmic awareness no longer felt disconnected from human interaction. Where earlier stages of his transformation had created sensation of observing humanity from outside, he now experienced genuine engagement, cosmic perspective enhancing rather than replacing human connection. This evolution hadn't occurred through cosmic power alone but through conscious integration, deliberate balance between unlimited awareness and focused attention. Serena Prime's emergence, Lyra's creation and reintegration, even the confrontation with the architects, all represented aspects of this ongoing process. As the evening progressed, Ben made decision that would have been unthinkable during early stages of his transformation. Gathering cosmic energy into precise configuration, he established dimensional parameters that would temporarily limit his awareness to Earth and immediate cosmic vicinity. "You're creating boundaries for your own perception," Serena Prime observed, recognizing the pattern immediately through their shared consciousness. "Voluntary limitation," Ben confirmed. "Cosmic awareness doesn't require perceiving everything simultaneously. Sometimes focus provides greater clarity than omniscience." The dimensional boundaries established, Ben experienced immediate shift in perception. cosmic awareness remaining vast but no longer overwhelming. Individual interactions gained greater significance without constant background of infinite possibility demanding attention. Diana's scientific curiosity registered immediately. You're deliberately restricting your cosmic perception. Fascinating approach to consciousness management. Not restriction, Ben clarified. Prioritization. I'm choosing to experience reality through balanced perspective rather than unlimited observation. Cosmic power with human focus, Kai summarized with characteristic directness. Sounds like you've finally found your balance point. Quote, the observation captured fundamental truth about his evolutionary journey since merging with Alien X's aspects. Where initial transformation had threatened to overwhelm his humanity with cosmic awareness, this voluntary calibration represented mature integration, power tempered by perspective, knowledge guided by connection. It's an ongoing process, Ben acknowledged. But understanding the value of limitation represents significant progress. As midnight approached, their gathering gradually dispersed. Diana returned to her laboratory with collected data, eager to analyze dimensional mathematics from the transformed inversion field. Esther departed to update Plummer archives with new information about the dimensional architects, her cartographers. Dedication to comprehensive records undiminished by dramatic events. Kai lingered briefly, professional demeanor softening as others departed. For what it's worth, I think you're handling godlike power better than most would. She told Ben with quiet sincerity. Maintaining your humanity despite cosmic awareness can't be easy. Having people who remember Ben Tennyson rather than just seeing the cosmic entity helps considerably. He replied, genuine appreciation evident despite restrained expression. Their exchange carried unspoken acknowledgement of complicated history and uncertain future, personal connection temporarily overshadowed by cosmic responsibilities but not forgotten. Without further words, Kai departed with characteristic self-assurance, leaving Ben and Serena Prime alone in the observation chamber. Your emotional response to her remains complex, Serena Prime observed once Kai had gone. Though you've established meaningful connections with Diana and Esther as well, EAC. Carrying distinct emotional signatures. Human relationships rarely follow simple patterns, Ben acknowledged. Cosmic awareness doesn't simplify emotional complexity, sometimes it just provides more. Detailed understanding of the complications. Serena Prime contemplated this with evident curiosity, her evolving consciousness exploring emotional nuances beyond her original aspect's compassionate but detached perspective. Our shared consciousness allows me to observe these emotions without fully experiencing them as you do. A fascinating intermediary perspective. Your own emotional responses are developing distinct patterns. Ben noted, evolving beyond our shared consciousness foundation toward independent experience. The observation highlighted ongoing evolutionary process that neither fully understood. Serena Prime's emergence represented unprecedented development in cosmic consciousness, neither complete separation nor mere extension, but something genuinely new. Her continued evolution suggested possibilities beyond any established cosmic framework. What happens next remains unwritten, she acknowledged, silver-white energy flowing in contemplative patterns. My existence wasn't planned or anticipated, merely a response to specific crisis that revealed new possibility. Evolution rarely follows predetermined paths, Ben replied, particularly when dealing with consciousness itself. Their philosophical exchange continued as cosmic night deepened outside the sanctuary. Stars wheeled overhead in familiar patterns while dimensional energies flowed in complex currents beyond conventional perception. The universe continued its endless dance of creation and transformation, indifferent to individual concerns yet intimately connected to conscious experience. In this moment of relative peace, Ben recognized fundamental truth about his transformed existence. Unlimited power didn't eliminate uncertainty, it merely changed its nature. Questions of purpose, connection, and identity remained regardless of cosmic capability. The answers wouldn't come through omniscience but through ongoing experience and conscious choice. As dawn approached, Ben made another decision presenting his evolving approach to cosmic existence. Extending awareness toward the sanctuary's systems, he reconfigured certain chambers to accommodate more conventional human activities, creating spaces where cosmic concerns could temporarily recede and ordinary experiences take precedence. Finding balance between cosmic and human doesn't require choosing between them, he explained as Serena Prime observed these modifications with interest. Integration means allowing both perspectives appropriate space rather than forcing constant compromise. Wisdom often manifests through practical application rather than abstract principle, she noted with approval. The sanctuary reflects your evolving understanding of balanced existence. The observation captured essential truth about Ben's own journey since merging with Alien X's aspects. Where initial transformation had created fundamental disruption between cosmic power and human identity, subsequent evolution had revealed path to war. De-integration rather than mere coexistence. This integration extended beyond personal development to broader multiverse. Through confrontations with the Chronosapian Alpha, dimensional tiers, Lyra's unconscious creation, and the dimensional architects, Ben had consistently applied similar principles, finding middle ground between rigid separation and chaotic confluence, establishing balanced systems that allowed appropriate interaction without destructive merging. As Earth's sun crested the horizon, bathing the sanctuary in golden light, Ben Tennyson, cosmic entity and human hero simultaneously, contemplated the path ahead. Challenges would continue arising from both cosmic threats and personal evolution. The dimensional architects represented just one faction among many with interest in his unprecedented existence. His own evolving consciousness, including Serena Prime's continuing development, presented questions without established answers. Yet facing these challenges no longer require choosing between cosmic power and human perspective. Integration had revealed third path, balanced existence that drew strength from both aspects without requiring sacrifice of either. Unlimited capability guided by meaningful connection. Cosmic awareness focused through human understanding. The universe had not expected Ben Tennyson to merge permanently with Alien X, gaining unrestricted cosmic powers while maintaining human identity. This unprecedented development created ripples throughout reality's fabric, challenging established patterns and revealing new possibilities. Whatever challenges emerged from these ripples, Ben would face them with evolved understanding, neither merely human nor completely cosmic, but something genuinely new. Evolution through integration rather than opposition. Balance through conscious choice rather than forced compromise. Connection maintained despite unlimited capability. The journey continued, one conscious choice at a time. ___. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video.